Hoblit Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center. Tickets and info at CITPFest.com.
Hey, get in. What? Who are you? I'm future you. Constipation with belly pain still coming back? Yeah. Mia, our doctor figured it out. She said it's irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, and Linzess could help you get ahead of it.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Get to your local Toyota dealer because the 4th of July sales event is on. Hurry in to check out the hottest deals on 17 Toyota hybrid models from the longest lasting brand on the road. And right now, get a low-cost lease on 2025 Prius. Plus, every new Toyota comes with Toyota Care. That's 2 years of complimentary maintenance. These deals won't wait, and neither should you. In a brand new Toyota, explore this summer like you mean it. Toyota, let's go places. Offer available through TFS to buyers with premium rated credit at 6/30/25.
I'm Ken Korak with your Green and Gold Report, brought to you by Comcast Business, powering possibilities. Well, there's a real chance of Jacob Wilson starting the All-Star game. As of the start of the A's current trip, he had a 250,000 vote lead at shortstop. Next up, the final vote of the top 2 finishers. If he wins that, he'll become the first A's shortstop to start the game in 50 years. Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. It's how retailers become seamlessly restocking, cyber-securing must-visit shops. And it's how healthcare offices become data-managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business.
Attention taxpayers. If you owe $5,000 or more and have missed another tax deadline, you're officially on the IRS's radar. The IRS has resumed aggressive collections. That means wage garnishments, bank levies, even seizures of your home, car, or retirement accounts. If you owe $5,000 or more and missed the deadline, you're stacking new debt on top of what you already owe. Call Priority Tax Relief now. Their experts fight back fast and are saving their clients millions in tax debt every month.
I owed over $50,000. And they settled it for pennies on the dollar. These guys are as legit as they come.
After speaking on my behalf with the IRS, my entire debt of $25,000 will be eliminated.
Whether you've received collection letters or you're already facing liens and garnishments, call for your free consultation. There are no upfront fees. Priority Tax Relief. Let's make your taxes our priority. Call 800-689-2119. 800-689-2119. 800-689-2119.
Priority Tax Relief.
KHD 1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Hammer time thrown down by the league.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Sacktown Sports, 1140. Your home for Kings talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
Yes, we made it. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports, taking you up to 2 p.m. Ramsey behind the glass for us today. We'll have Ramsey a couple times this week. Short week. And look, man, the universe is making me earn it. Okay, got in the car today. This morning, obviously, NBA free agency on our minds. So much that has happened, so much that's about to happen. We are on Dennis Schroder watch. Okay, we definitely are. So much going on. NFL trades happening. Jalen Ramsey finds his way to Pittsburgh. He's kind of a weird young ring chaser. I feel like he's done this a couple times now. Hasn't really worked out for him. quite yet, but we'll see what happens now with this stint in Pittsburgh. I really like Jonnu Smith as well going to Pittsburgh. So what are they cooking out there in Pittsburgh? But so much going on. Obviously, on the baseball side of things, Dave Parker passed away, and we're going to spend some time talking about him as well and what he meant to the game. So much going on. I say bye to the loved ones, get in the car, hit the press to start, small flex, put the press to start. Is that even a flex anymore? I'm not sure. Hit the press to start, and it ain't starting. Okay, sometimes things get a little jammed up, a little hot out. Hit the press to start again. It's not working. Then I switch the key fobs. Maybe there's something wrong with the key fob. Switch out the key fobs, not working. So right now I am in the midst, to be completely transparent with you, I am in the midst of awaiting a text from the missus trying to make sure she's in a meeting. AAA is on the way to pick up the car to take it to get serviced. So all of that is going on, and I just got the text, so she should be able to handle AAA for me. So let's rock and roll. 4 hours with you. Ramsey's ready to go. I'm ready to go. No case of the Mondays here. This is a test. The universe will test you sometimes. But I said, you know what? We had such a good weekend. River Cats, they won yesterday, rocking and rolling. Nobody is going to put me in a bad mood, all right? Not even the Kings doomers. Very upset that Keon Ellis, his contract, his option didn't get declined, so they accepted his option. He will be in Sacramento on a very, very team-friendly deal, but will hit unrestricted free agency if the Kings cannot come to an extension with Keon before the end of the season. So I'm not letting all of the Kings doomers get in the way of what we have going on either, because let's just wait it out. Let's just see what happens. Yassi Gozlan of the Third Apron is going to join us in about 30 minutes, okay? And he's going to help us break this down as well. I know Carmichael Dave had a lot to say on it, some of his notes. We have that audio for you if you missed it, if you didn't get up at 6 in the morning, or they got to get up even earlier than that. So we'll play that audio for you as well, probably in the 10 o'clock hour. Keon Ellis is still a King. Let's just make that clear. Keon Ellis is still a King, all right? So before we look down the road, we got to lock him up. Look, man, I like Keon Ellis. But again, if you're Scott Perry and you are now a part of the Kings organization who haven't done anything, you could really like Keon Ellis, but you have to evaluate the whole situation. You cannot get caught up on a good story, and Keon's a really good player. And I want Keon to stay on the Kings. But the lenses were getting a little purple yesterday, just a little. Before anything else even happened, can we at least wait it out? I was thinking about this last night. There's so much time to react. There's no reason to overreact right now, right? If you lose free agency and you lose Keon to unrestricted free agency, then you can freak out. But you haven't even lost him yet. That's that quote we talked about last week. I'm not going to worry about missing a shot I haven't even taken yet. These Kings fans, you acting like me. So my family tells me all the time, I'm a worry wart. I worry about stuff that hasn't happened yet. So I'm trying to be better. Keon is still going to be a Sacramento King until he's not. He hasn't even hit unrestricted free agency. They haven't even signed anybody yet. Free agency's barely getting started. We just had good vibes last week with the draft. So let's see what happens. I understand why people feel that way, but let's just see what happens. It's all good. It's all good until it's not. That's what it is. The Kings pick up his option. He's extension eligible in February, but they pass on an opportunity to lock him down now for kind of a more controlled amount. That is true. But again, they can still come to a decision. Carmichael Dave, I'm paraphrasing here. The relationship seems to be in a good place with Keon. That's what Dave said in the morning show, and Dave knows what the hell he's talking about. So we got plenty of time to overreact, okay? My car this morning, plenty of time to overreact. You know what I thought? At least this happened in the garage. We got some plans. 4th of July, probably headed out to Napa. Man, what if I had my wife who's due in September in a hot car in Napa with toddler Stiles in the back and the car's dead? Could be way worse. At least I'm just in the garage. Plenty of time to overreact. That's where we're at right now. A lot of time to overreact as well if you want to the DeAndre Ayton buyout. Any interest with any teams, I don't think it really makes sense for the Kings, but people are talking about the Lakers, other teams, so we'll talk about DeAndre Ayton. There's just some really – he's another guy. We talk about all-team bad PR, and I believe Kyle Kuzma's on that list. The Kings are on that list. It could be players or Kings. The Kings are on that list. All first team, all bag fumbler as well. That might be Malik Beasley, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But DeAndre Ayton's got some really bad PR. Is the PR worse than his actual play at this point? So, again, I don't think it makes very much sense for the Kings. I don't think he would want to go to the Kings, if I'm being completely honest. But any interest throughout those teams, we'll break that down. CP3 is available. The reports are he wants to stay close, right? Number one, I don't know what close is anymore. Ever since, I'm going to say the joke, ever since DeMar DeRozan came home to Sacramento when he's from Southern California. You know, I was talking with somebody during the River Cats yesterday, and they're headed to, she's very excited, 10 years old, headed to Disneyland, right? 6-hour drive. And they said it again, 6-hour drive. And I just thought to myself, 6-hour drive to Disneyland up from Sacramento. Should I have said, hey, well, you're going home. At least you're going home. Makes no sense. So CP3 wants to stay close. I don't know what close is, right? I would assume Sacramento. He's just saying, is this just CP3 saying, please, Clippers or Lakers, please? Lakers, hey, I want to close the circle after those years where I wasn't able to be a part of that trade. Let's finally close it and put me on the Lakers. I missed out. Now I want to be a part of the Lakers before it's all said and done. Or does he want to go back to the Clippers? James Harden, CP3, that's just awful defensively. Just awful defensively. But this is CP3 saying, please, hey, just so y'all know I'm here. Just so y'all know, I'm still here. Yeah, Chris Paul, everybody knows that you're trying to play with LeBron or in LA. We know that. Was there anybody that didn't know that before the report? So I think CP3, there have been some people throughout the Kings media space that believe that CP3 is a good fit, but I don't know, right? All jokes aside, I think the proximity is something that he'd be interested in, but my feeling on it is that CP3 does not want to go to Sacramento. I think that CP3 feels as if he's a bit above Sacramento. I think he thinks his brand is above Sacramento. And I also feel like if CP3 wanted to go to Sacramento, we would have heard about it already. Now, that's not to say that if the Clippers and the Lakers say, no, thank you, maybe he's positioning, well, I had already said I wanted to be close to home. So Sacramento, you were always kind of on my list. But if he dilly-dallies around, messing around, trying to convince the Lakers or the Clippers and the Kings, and all the reports are saying that at some point today we'll probably see a signing with the Kings and Dennis Schroder. Well, CP3, we don't need you anymore. I don't think we need you anymore. I know we talked about signing 2 point guards, but I don't know if CP3 and Dennis Schroder is where you would want to go. I don't feel like I would rather go Dennis Schroder and a Trey Jones or somebody younger, see what you can get out of them. I don't think you go 2 veterans there. So that's what's going on with CP3, Jabari Smith Jr. and that extension. What does that mean for Keegan Murray? A little right at $24 million a year. Is that what Keegan Murray should expect? Should he expect more? Should he expect less? So we'll discuss that as well as Keegan Murray extension eligible. And as we discuss that Malik Beasley stuff, we'll have some fun at the end of the show. Just the bag fumbling. You could never. And what's crazy is, look, assuming he goes down, we don't know what's going on yet. But what's crazy is if he had told himself, hey, just hold on, you're going to have a really, again, I joke about Interstellar before on this, and you know the meme where Matthew McConaughey is just banging, no, don't do it, just looking at himself right from the past or whatever it is. Malik Beasley seeing himself have a career season in Detroit while he's doing whatever he was allegedly doing in Milwaukee. No, you're about to ball out on a playoff team. You got 40+ million. Don't do it, bro. Don't do it. Too late. It's too late. So we'll see what happens there. And Ramsey, I know you wanted to hop in. You got the Pittsburgh hat on. I know you wanted to say some things about Dave Parker as well and what he meant to the game. Really just the definition of cool. That's how everybody kind of viewed him. So what did you have on that, Rams?
First and foremost, unfortunately, like you said, we lost Dave Parker over the weekend. The Cobra, we are family teams. The one thing that's local to here, near and dear to us, he was part of that 1989 A's World Series team that won the Babe Ruth Series, Earthquake, whatnot. I mean, he was one of those dudes that was, especially looking at that 89 team, unfortunately, another one that we lost of that team. I mean, now, unfortunately, Dave Parker, Ricky Henderson, Tony Phillips, Dave Henderson. Those for you and I that are both baseball fans and African-American baseball fans, those were, especially for my generation, I know you and I have a little bit of an age difference, but those were dudes that we look up to before we knew what a Ken Griffey Jr. was, before Barry Bonds truly was Barry Bonds in the Bay. I mean, we looked up to the Cobra. Yeah. We looked up to Ricky. We looked up to Hindu. We looked up to Tony Phillips. We looked up to Dave Stewart. He's still with us and enjoy him while we can. We looked up to, God rest his soul, Vida Blue, even though he wasn't a part of those teams. But those were dudes that we looked up to, especially out here in Northern California, especially in the Bay. I mean, those were dudes. If you like baseball, that's somebody you watch. The Cobra was a figure. He was a massive human being that was enjoyed, that balled out. So glad he was able to at least get the call to the Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore to get the flowers in person.
Yeah.
But he originally got the flowers as well. He originally got his flowers before he passed. Shout out to the Cobra. Shout out to Dave Parker. And one other person I wanted to give a shout out to, probably the best horse racing trainer to ever be in the game. You could argue with me now, potentially Bob Baffert, but unfortunately we lost Dwayne Lucas as well at the age of 89. Man won 15 Triple Crown races with a multitude of horses. He is the standard that Bob Baffert looked up to in the game of horse racing. And that's just, unfortunately, two legends that we lost over this weekend. Just wanted to give the shout out. Unfortunately, we got to give them the flowers while they're not here, but you got to give them their flowers regardless.
Thank you very much, Ramsey. Nicely done. Dave Parker, the longtime Pittsburgh Pirates outfielder who was a two-time batting champion, National League MVP, and member of the 1979 World Series championship team, died at the age of 74. This is what the Pirates had to say. We are heartbroken to learn of the passing of Hall of Famer Dave Parker, describing Parker as a legendary Pirate. Parker will be enshrined in the National Baseball Hall of Fame next month. Parker was also named an inaugural member of the Pittsburgh Pirates Hall of Fame in 2022. Nicknamed the Cobra, Parker played 11 of his 19 MLB seasons for the Pirates from 1973 to 1983. Great stuff. Again, as we also just discuss everything that is going on outside of the King space as well, but just within the NBA. Look, like we said, free agency is kicked off and it is rocking and rolling right now. And we have a free agency tracker that we are going to keep up with as we move throughout the show. You got guys like Joe Ingles returning to the Minnesota Timberwolves, Day'Ron Sharpe returning to the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, Colin Gillespie, he's going to the Suns. So it's kind of, no disrespect, but kind of more fringy names to start here. We're waiting for some of the big boys. And yeah, the DeAndre Ayton part of it, I don't really know what to make of him. I think he's got a really nice touch on his jump shot, as far as his mid-range is concerned. But, just questions about the motor. I feel as if, and we have this whole list of motor of just sports things that we'll say, ceiling and things like that. Motor is another one, but this is a real one. I mean, there are some bad clips out there. Here's the write-up from Shams. DeAndre Ayton is finalizing a contract buyout with the Portland Trailblazers to become a free agent, sources told ESPN on Sunday. Ayton, who will turn 27 next month, had $35.6 million left on a contract that was set to expire next summer. Ayton and his representatives approached the Blazers about a buyout, and Ayton wanting to play in a winning situation, sources said. He is now free to sign with any team, including those in both salary cap aprons, despite earning greater than $14.1 million. So if you're DeAndre Ayton, and, it's not as if DeAndre Ayton has done a ton in his career. We're not in bust category, but we're also not in you did anything significant category either. Yang Hansen gets drafted. They took Klingon last season. So I dang near, and this is probably a bit disrespectful to this guy who's being roasted, by the way, and it's getting a little out of hand. I think the last one it wasn't Jerry. It might have been Ocho Cinco, or Terrell Owens. They brought up that Debo being out of shape again. I'm pretty sure it was T.O., but they brought up Debo being out of shape again. And I kind of look at it in a similar vein, even though Debo did way, way more for the Niners than DeAndre Ayton did for the Blazers. But you draft Ricky Pearsall, you obviously you sign Brandon Ayuk, you draft Ricky Pearsall, you keep Juwan Jennings. There's a balance between, hey, we need to make sure we have a ton of receivers, and yeah, Debo, we kind of want you to leave. And I think that's where we were at with DeAndre Ayton. Hey, you draft Klingon, now you draft Hansen. Look, you can say if you want, but obviously not as if DeAndre Ayton's that elder of a statesman, but obviously we are moving in a direction, and it's not a direction that we think that you need to be a part of anymore. So yeah, and it was Terrell Owens, I believe, just making some jokes about Debo again. So the reality is there are going to be a lot of opportunities for all teams. That's why this whole Keon Ellis thing and Ramsey, we'll get into it a little bit later in the show, because Ramsey, even before the option being accepted, I know you had hopped on the text line to talk about Keon Ellis and how you felt, not necessarily the overvaluing conversation, but not far from it. So we'll get your thoughts on it. And 916-339-1140, your calls, your texts. Shout out to the Sack Chat as well.
And I got a question for you about DeAndre Ayton. Mm-hmm. Who really is going to pick him up? Because I'll take the leap. He's a bust. I mean, I had seen him. Yeah. I seen him play live when he was still at University of Arizona against Stanford. He didn't pass the eye test for me. He still hasn't passed the eye test. This is his second team. They let him go. But the main question is, who's going to pick him up? I mean, unfortunately, he's the first two picks of that 2018 or 19, I forget whatever year, that draft are going to be labeled as bust. Him and Marvin Bagley.
Right.
When both those teams could have had the generational talent of Luka Doncic. But unfortunately, those teams made the decisions that they did, and we are where we're at on June 30th, 2025. But again, who's going to pick up Luka? Who's going to pick up DeAndre Ayton? I mean, we can even look at it like this. Charlotte just moved Nurkic to Utah for Colin Sexton in the second round draft pick. So a team like that doesn't even have a need for a center. So Where is DeAndre Ayton going to land if he lands anywhere at all?
I mean, it depends on how much of this is similar to really a lot of these guys that go through a period of time where they are overpaid, right? And just honestly owning up to the fact that they were overpaid. A name that comes to mind, and it's a little bit different, but a name that comes to mind is Tobias Harris, right? Tobias Harris, he was getting cashed out. I mean, just crazy. And let's see, we're looking here at his kind of career earnings. So when he was with the Sixers, he's making, and it wasn't it's a bit of a dip. So this is what we're talking about as far as the market has told you.
Exactly. Because he was close to 40 mil when he was
right
in Philly.
You were overpaid a little bit. It's all good, but how do you move from there? So Tobias Harris, 2019, he's making 30 mil. 2020, he's making 34. 2021, 35. 2022, 37. 2023, 39. Then he goes to the Pistons and he takes 25.3.
But the major, and again, not comparing, we're comparing apples and oranges, but Tobias Harris is still a serviceable NBA player.
But I don't know that DeAndre Ayton isn't. When these guys are on these bad teams and there's kind of just some weird stuff going on as far as are you hurt? Are you just trying to tank? I'm not, like I said, for the right price. I don't know what that right price is for DeAndre Ayton.
I don't either.
And I don't know what DeAndre Ayton thinks is the right price. If he believes I'm still DeAndre Ayton, I'm going to tell you this right now, Ramsey. I never talked to the brother in my life.
Neither do I.
Right now, I can tell you he believes he's better than Tobias Harris. I know
DeAndre Ayton is going to overvalue himself.
Yes, and he's only 27. So I think it becomes a conversation where there will be interest, but then when DeAndre Ayton says, well, I think I'm worth this, and teams say, well, brother, you're not. You're in a buyout situation for a reason.
Exactly.
You're in a buyout situation at 27 years old. That's kind of crazy. So,
and I'll use this as an example. The Kings have Jonas Valanciunas at $10 million.
Right.
I'm not paying DeAndre Ayton $10 million.
Okay.
Because here's what I'm saying. I value Jonas Valanciunas more than I do DeAndre Ayton.
This is, in a weird way, a kind of a Zubac-Sabonis conversation, right? Zubac in the 20s to Sabonis in the 40s. Sabonis is better, but is he $20 million better? So we'll see what happens there. As we discussed, Yassi Gozlan of the Third Apron, he joins us when we return to break down all things Keon, Ellis, and more. Allen Stiles, Sacramento Sports.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by the Roseville Auto Mall.
I'm Tamara Berg in the KCRA 3 Weather Center for your Monday, getting out the door to a comfortable start. We head through the afternoon. Temperatures very warm and above normal once again. Expect to see mostly sunny skies, mid-90s today, with overnight lows in the low 60s. Get the latest forecast on the KCRA 3 News and the KCRA 3 app.
The Roseville Auto Mall is Northern California's ultimate destination when looking for your next vehicle. Find the largest selection with 20 top brands. Find spectacular deals during our big 4th of July sales event going on now at the Roseville Auto Mall. Driven to be the best.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
So I was taking my side hustle full-time.
Bold move, my friend.
And I needed to find everything in one stop.
Like finding Bigfoot riding a unicorn.
Yes, so I hit the Staples Easy button. Staples had everything for a new office and print services for signs and brochures. Plus, Cindy, the Staples associate, helped me find the best tech for me.
Wait, no drama?
No, Staples made it easy.
For the products, services, and experts your business needs. Staples.
That was easy.
In-store, online, and on the app.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time and skip the regular line at the airport and pay for speedy security. Imagine not having to quickly unpack and pack at the place you already came back to. And wearing your shoes the whole time you're there? You can't put a price on that kind of luxury. Well, actually you can, and you paid for it. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time for speedy security. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Here's Frank LaRosa.
I had the chance to interview former professional golfer and broadcaster Gary McCord a few years back. He hadn't yet enraged the Green Jackets with his television comments about their revered Georgia golf course. He was welcoming and above all humorous, which is why I recently picked up a copy of his book, Golf for Dummies by Gary McCord, a man possessed by golf's magical allure. This 5th edition will help new golfers learn the basics of the game and bring them, as he writes, lights from the darkness to the light. The book discusses types of clubs, types of courses, how to hit the ball, and how to keep score. The intent is to help you get the ball to the hole in fewer tries and with better form. You'll even find some basic exercises to get you into golf shape. It's a fun read and will help you get over some of the game's intimidation while getting you ready to visit the golf course on your own or with some friends. I always recommend a good PGA professional to guide you along the way, but Golf for Dummies is a fun way to approach a fun game. That's your Golf to Go. I'm Frank LaRosa.
Get ready for a night out with Jordan Davis. It's Country in the Park 2, Saturday, September 13th at Cal Expo. Along with the special guests Mitchell Tenpenny, Cash, Vincent Mason, and Avery-Anna. Make it a family day out with food trucks, games, dancing, and more. Saturday, September 13th at Cal Expo with Hoblit Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center. Tickets and info at CITPFest.com.
This July 3rd, get ready to ignite your summer at the Romstra Firecracker 90 at the legendary Stockton 99 Speedway with late models, mini stocks, pure stocks, legends, and mini mods. All out, plus a massive fireworks show that'll light up the night. Get your tickets now at Stockton99.com. July 3rd, be there.
Visit BigOTires.com for this week's specials. We have sets of 4 tires starting at just $400, plus service specials that include oil change, tire rotation, and more. With our low price guarantee, drive away knowing you got the best deal on the road. Get details at BigOTires.com.
Summer savings explode at latest Elk Grove Chevy. Save $12,000 off MSRP after rebates. Every new 2025 Silverado half-ton LT and RST in stock. Exclusively at NativeChevy.com. Now that's big, huge. Together, let's drive.
See dealer for details.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave. I got to tell you, I am so excited to get this decking project started with Trex Decking and Railings. From the first time I stepped foot in the showroom last week, I was so impressed. So many color options, heat-resistant composite deck. What does that mean? That means I don't have to do any maintenance on it whatsoever. They even have a deck designer, so you can go online and see what your dream deck will look like on your house. Just visit Trex, that's Trex.com to get it started. Tell them Carmichael Dave sent you.
Xfinity TV is the best way to stream your favorite live sports, giving you an incredible viewing experience. From pregame to postgame, Xfinity gives you the best seat in the house with traditional TV, streaming stats and odds right from your TV.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/SacktownSports1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
There will continue to be news coming out throughout the day. We're going to be joined shortly by Yossi Goslin of the Third Apron. And the Lonzo news that also happened, the Bulls trading Lonzo to Cleveland for Isaac Okoro, who I think Isaac Okoro is still young enough to, see what happens. But if you're the Bulls, I think I've decided now after this past draft and what Scott Perry did, even with accepting Keon's option and things like that, the Bulls are a complete disaster past the Kings. We know that now. People were talking about essentially overvaluing Lonzo. You had DeMar running around, talking about how different the team was and all that he brought to the squad there, all of that going on, and you trade him for Isaac Okoro. It just doesn't make any sense. And I feel as if Kings fans are starting to feel better about their situation. Obviously, a lot more can change, and, we'll see if either of the draft picks are ready to rock and roll when the time comes. And by the way, Devin Carter will be playing in Summer League, speaking of the young Bucks. But the Bulls are just a complete mess. All right, let's get to Yossi Goslin of the Third Apron. Yossi, thank you so much for joining us on kind of short notice. I know there's been a lot running around. People are getting signed. Somebody might get signed while we're talking here. Could be Dennis Schroder to the Kings. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Let's start here. The Keon Ellis thing, right? I pull up my phone. Kings fans are just freaking out about it, and I get it. You know, there hasn't been a ton to cheer about for the Kings in a couple years now since the Beam Team season. Keon, really that found money type of player. That's how I like to describe him. And everybody's saying, decline the option, decline the option, extend him right now. And the Kings don't do it, coming off a draft that a lot of people were excited about. Can you give us some positives to the Kings accepting Keon's option moving into this season?
There's a lot to nitpick the Kings about over the past year plus, but this I don't think is one of them. I think it's one of those moves like if they did end up extending him to a longer deal, great. I think that what they ended up doing is going to be kind of just as neutral, because the biggest thing is there is a lot of uncertainty there with what's going to happen with this roster. This payroll is already pretty high with the amount of money they have. So they're already going to have kind of a tight squeeze, even just trying to bring in a point guard. Like if they do end up signing Schroder to that full mid-level, they're basically going to be right under the tax. Yeah. So if they gave, let's say they did restructure his contract and maybe got him to something in like the $6 to $8 million range. Yeah, it's going to be a great contract, but then they're dangerous. They're getting a little more, they're kind of flirting with the tax then. Yeah. So I think like he's good. I think, the thing is they still have optionality. It's not like the type of thing where now he's gonna hit free agency and, they're going to lose him. That's in a year from now. He will be extension eligible in February. The biggest thing is the biggest reason to extend him now. It's like, well, what are you getting ahead of? What kind of player do you think he's going to be? Do you think he's going to become like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, like that level? If that's the fear, then okay, then you probably missing an opportunity to get him at something at a nice value. But I don't anticipate he'll blow up quite like that. In which case, they should probably be able to extend him later at something that makes sense. So maybe they get the best of both worlds. They still get him at a good deal while keeping their flexibility for this season.
Yeah, and, we joke about having purple-colored lenses on and maybe overvaluing certain players, and every fan base does it. With Keon, there were a lot of national names and national platforms kind of giving him love. So I don't think it's as much as the purple lenses, but there is some of that as well. You get a guy like Scott Perry coming in who he's just putting on the purple glasses, but he's been watching objectively for the last couple of years here. And maybe to your point, Yossi, he feels as if, yeah, Keon's a good player, but this is a team that hasn't made the playoffs. We can't sit here and kind of strap ourselves up even more unless we do think he's going to take that next step. Let's go here, Yossi, talking to Yossi Goslin of the Third Apron. Let's go here what everybody has kind of been fearing, and you touched on it a little bit right now, but just to dig a little bit deeper, what are the negatives of accepting Keon Ellis's option?
Just the biggest thing is that if they don't extend him, then he will become an unrestricted free agent, in which case the Kings would be at risk of losing him next off season because he just finished his third year. You can only be a restricted free agent as a former second-round pick or undrafted player within your first 3 years. So he's out of restricted free agency eligibility. That's what would have allowed them to make him a free agent now and then give him a new contract. So that's the biggest risk. So, but again, they will be able to extend him later in the year. So I would anticipate that if he continues playing at this level, they'll look to lock him up and avoid free agency.
Talking to Yossi Goslin of the Third Apron. Yossi, based on what you've seen so far, and we spoke not too long ago, and we love when you come on the show. It's always great stuff. Based on what you've seen so far from the Miami Heat situation with Kevin Durant, I don't think he had signed yet when you were on last time, and some of the rumblings as far as assets and how things are being viewed. Can you give us a look into how you view DeMar DeRozan? Here on this show, I think I'm properly valuing DeMar DeRozan, but, I talked to some people and it sounds like I might be overvaluing DeMar DeRozan. Where do you think DeMar DeRozan fits on other teams as, guys are getting signed right now, and just the idea of bringing him into your team at about $24 million?
The truth is, I haven't really looked into DeMar's situation because it's really hard for me to identify teams he fits in at that amount.
Yeah.
So I know he's been rumored to the Heat if they don't get Kevin Durant, but hasn't happened. So I don't know. We don't know how. So maybe it's not as true as it was led to believe.
Yeah.
I think as of now, he's a negative value contract, which means the Kings might have to, move an asset to move him or take back somebody who's not quite as good. Like if I'm the Heat, I don't know if the Heat would be motivated to trade anything more than Rozier in a couple seconds for DeRozan. I know that doesn't sound appealing at all, but like if you saw what the Heat apparently passed on to get Kevin Durant,
right.
I can't imagine what the offer would be for DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. I don't like hearing it, but I hear you on that. Talking to Yossi Gozlan of the Third Apron. Let's go here, Yossi, to kind of take a step back and look at the landscape. We know what the Aprons have done to the league and how it's kind of changed how these teams are approaching it. What are the trends that you're seeing as far as how teams are kind of moving and grooving and the decisions that they are making in order to avoid some of the taxes and aprons, things like that? What are some of the trends you're seeing? Are teams willing to take more chances on some of the younger players because you'd rather just pay them team-friendly deals and keep that team control? What are some of the trends that have maybe started once the aprons popped out and now we're seeing kind of formulate even more now?
I think teams are starting to get more strategic with the contract structures. OKC, for example, last year they gave Hardenstein a declining deal. They gave Isaiah Joe and Andrew Wiggins these declining deals that started very high and they're going to go very low at the end. They ended up doing the same thing this offseason. They gave Jalen Williams that extension is going to start him at like $9 million, then go down to $7 million.
Yeah.
I think they did something similar with AJ Mitchell. The Nets seems like that's how they're going to strategize so they can still have a lot of cap space next year. So that I think they're looking at ways like that to do it. And then also as far as like the long term, last year we saw a lot of players get squeezed, but I think that was more so a result of the salary cap not going up at all. Now the cap went up 10%. And now we're hearing about all these role players. Like the best players that are going to get moved in free agency are like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Ty Jerome. It seems like they're all going to get offers at like the full mid-level, and there's reports of teams like willing to offer them even more if possible.
Yeah.
So how do you protect yourself from that? Because in all likelihood, they're good players, but they're still role players. You're still kind of there's still a good chance you're going to be overpaying these guys. So if you're going to consciously do that, keep the deal on the shorter end. Maybe you can structure where you have an early out and maybe you could re-sign to something lower later. So it's going to be a very strange free agency class, one of the weaker ones in a while, but but it seems like based on the reporting, a lot of these role players, they're going to make a lot of money over the next year or two. And then it's all about how do the teams protect themselves on the back end.
Talking to Yossi Gozlan of the Third Apron. We joke on this show, Yossi, about the good vibes contracts that get given out. We saw it happen with the Celtics. We thought the Celtics would be here, maybe not forever, but for a good amount of time. And Jason Tatum tears his Achilles. They would have been down 3-1 anyway. We don't know what's going to happen there. Then you look at and they were able to move off of Drew Holiday, but you had Drew Holiday on a bad contract. Derek White, I think, is very confusing because I don't know how much I would want to pay Derek White or if he's going to be anybody's second option. But you got Brad Stevens apparently laughed at a deal that was brought to him from the Toronto Raptors. Now I look at the Pacers, and the Pacers didn't win the whole thing. And the reality is There were some injuries. The Pacers had a bit of good luck. Should teams like the Pacers coming off of good seasons, and the Kings know all about this because being team season, they, to a lesser degree, did the feel-good contracts, bringing Harrison Barnes back, but it was on good value. How should teams go about assessing and just being realistic to say, hey, we got to the finals, but yeah, the Bucks didn't have Dame, and we did face an injured Cavs team. If you're the Pacers, are you, and obviously with Halliburton out, this changes a bit, but if you're the Pacers, are you resting on your laurels and saying, here you go, Miles Turner, since we went to the finals, or are you saying, all right, we got to rearrange this thing a bit, because the reality is we were close, but we also weren't very close. Confusing situations out of Indiana.
I think if the Halliburton injury didn't happen, I think they were still looking at mostly running it back, investing more in the team, dipping into the tax a little bit, and re-signing Turner. Even with that, I still think they're re-signing Turner. Maybe, though, they start to have conversations about some of their other players, not necessarily like Siakam or Turner or anything like that, but maybe you look at some of the role players like Obi Toppin, TJ McConnell, because the Pacers realistically aren't going to contend for a championship next year without Tyrese Halliburton. How good are these guys going to be 2 years from now once you do have a chance to compete? Will you be able to get this type of production again in a playoff run? If the answer is no, then is there offers out there right now where maybe a team is willing to offer like a good first round pick for one of these guys? I think that's worth considering now. And the same thing could apply to Boston, where they already traded some of their vets mostly to save money. They didn't really get a lot of value, but you got to look at the opportunity now, where same thing, like who on your team can you expect to keep playing at a high level 2 years from now once Tatum is back? Are you better off keeping everything as is and competing with your top three guys, or do you consider taking a haul for one of like Brown or White, for example? Does that give you a better chance of rerouting those pieces to build a better team 2 years from now? So I think now these injuries, because it kind of like complicates your timeline, now these teams got to really think about how they're going to navigate these next few years, which really puts anything on the table, I think.
Yossi, before we get you out of here, Barry in the lead here with Jabari Smith Jr. signing that 5-year, $122 million rookie contract. Jabari, 12 points a game. Keegan Murray at 12 points a game. Keegan slightly more minutes per game, but Keegan is, I believe, 3 years older. $24.4 million a year for Jabari Smith Jr. Should we expect something similar, assuming Keegan and the Kings are having those extension conversations now? A little bit more, a little bit less? What are your thoughts?
I would guess if you're Keegan Murray, you want something very close to that vicinity. Pretty surprised that Jabari accepted that he was the first rookie scale extension. Usually it's the max guys first. So I would have thought that Paolo, Jalen, Chet would have signed their extensions by now. But that sets the market for the next class of guys, the below max guys. What does that look like? And this contract is like very identical to what Jaden McDaniels got with the Wolves. So I think that at this point, Keegan probably needs something in that range at a minimum. If the Kings are going lower than that, then maybe he wants to consider, maybe he'd want to just hit free agency. So I think that is a pretty good comparison, though, a good marker for where things could stand with Keegan.
Yossi Gozlan, great stuff as always. Go check him out on the Third Apron. Yossi, always a pleasure. Can't wait to have you back on. Hopefully celebrating some moves that the Kings have made. Have a good week, man.
Thanks, man. You too.
When we come back, Carmichael Dave shares his thoughts and his sourced thoughts on Keon Ellis. Allen Stiles, Sacramento Sports.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6580. That's 800-583-6580.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
Seems like back to school happens earlier each year.
First day of school coming in hot.
And this year my kids had massive supply lists.
Folders, notebooks, and pens. Oh, the humanity.
But Staples had everything I needed, with some items just 25 cents.
Watch the small print.
No. My back to school budget was saved by Staples Easy Button.
Everything for school, in stock and as low as 25 cents. Staples.
That was easy.
In store, online, and on the app. In St. 23 while supplies last.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Celebrate the 4th with freedom from high prices. The 4th of July savings sale is happening now at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Fire up your summer with 4th of July savings on a new Civic or Accord. Own or lease today at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our #1 priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too.
Folsom Lake Honda. Go to FolsomLakeHonda.com.
Your one-stop Honda shop.
Carmichael Dave here for my friends at American Energy Heating and Air. Yes, I always tell you they are a family-owned operation, been in business since 81, A+ Better Business Bureau, but it is hot. We are in those Sacramento hot months. I want to focus on them being your second opinion partner. What does that mean? Maybe you've got somebody you're working with or you've worked with in the past in the HVAC world. Guess what? They want to give you a second opinion. How much does it cost? Nothing. You call them up and say, hey, can I get a second opinion on this deal? They come out and they either say, wow, that's a great deal, you should feel better about that. Or they say, we can beat that price. And usually they're going to beat it by a lot. Guess what? You just saved money and it didn't cost you anything to find out. It's a no-lose situation. Go with a trusted company. American Energy, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com. Jingle Singers, take it away.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
The 4th of July, it's all about family, fireworks, and freedom. And this 4th of July, Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is offering your family the freedom to choose America's brand at the guaranteed lowest price in town. This 4th of July, the fireworks are starting early at Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. You can check out one of Northern California's largest selections for yourself at sacssuperstore.com, where you'll find the lowest prices on the new Ram, Wrangler, Grand Cherokee, the whole lineup. Centrally located across from Hagen Oaks Golf Course, and visit them online to see their full selection and their guaranteed lowest prices at sacssuperstore.com.
Finally, an easy way to find home improvement contractors. Just visit subcontractorsunited.com and simplify your search for home services professionals. From cabinets to windows, roofing to plumbing, Subcontractors United is an easy, simple way to find and hire a home improvement contractor. And you never have to give up personal information. So no harassing phone calls like you get from those other websites. Subcontractorsunited.com is sponsored by D&D Cabinets and Savage Design.
Join the Sacramento Rivercats on Saturday, July 19th. It's Star Wars Night at Sutter Health Park. Dress as your favorite character, enjoy themed fun, and soak in peak summertime baseball. Star Wars Night tickets on July 19th are available at rivercats.com.
The only station in Sacramento giving you local sports coverage from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Sacktown Sports.
Great stuff from Yossi Gozlin of the Third Apron. As we are about to hear from Carmichael Dave, about Keon Ellis, we have that sound for you. Free agency begins, and here is a look at some of the top targets that we have kind of discussed here. Dennis Schroder, his previous, and I'm saying specifically the free agent, or excuse me, the point guards. Dennis Schroder, previous basically annual salary was $12.7 million. Ty Jerome was 2.5. Tyus Jones was $3 million. So obviously Ty Jerome and Tyus Jones, well, not Tyus Jones, actually. Ty Jerome is about to kind of flip the script on his career and his finances, if you will. Dennis Schroder in an interesting situation. And again, what I've heard is close to 30 mil. Obviously, that's the MLE. So Dennis Schroder looking at a little bit of a pay bump, which is so funny. He had a very confusing season, balled the bleep out with the Nets, was absolutely a garbage can with the Warriors, and then goes back to the Pistons and does his thing and goes to the playoffs. So Dennis Schroder finding a way, or we'll see, to raise that money. As he's still chasing that bag that he turned down from the Lakers, Dennis Schroder seems to be in line for a bit of a pay raise, and Ty Jerome's going to get a huge pay raise. Tyus Jones probably going to be sitting at around the same thing. And the Kings, obviously, we'll discuss coming up here in about 3 minutes, the interest in Schroder, Westbrook, and Brogdon. Let's hear from Carmichael Dave and what he had to say about the Keon Ellis situation. Here it is.
So whether it's Kuminga, which, by the way, Malik Monk's salary, I believe, works straight across. It almost certainly have to be a sign and trade. Kings are in a position where they can take a little bit more money a little bit more money in on a trade. I had Bobby Marks's numbers here somewhere for where the Kings are at salary wise, but they have access to their full mid-level exception. They have access to quite a few things. If you sign Keon Ellis, or you extend Keon Ellis right now, it very much it precludes you from doing a lot of things.
Right.
By choosing right now to pick up the option, you now have him at a cheaper rate. It allows you to go out and have the flexibility to do some things, and they can still extend him after the fact. Now, somebody might say, no, he's going to be an unrestricted free agent, and now we just, or he's going to be a free agent this summer, and he could be more expensive. He could choose to go sign. Yeah, there's
absolutely.
There's
in play.
There's risks.
Yeah.
But from what I have been told, they're in a very good spot with Keon right now. Total understanding. There's never a guarantee, but the intention is to remain as flexible as possible, salary and move wise. They had planned all along for free agency and trade season to be where they were going to make likely their moves somewhere between that and the trade deadline.
Right.
They're going to be turning some stuff over. They want that flexibility. I think if they make some bigger moves this summer earlier, you're going to see almost certainly during the season some sort of Keon Ellis extension announced. If it drags out and they need that flexibility for the trade deadline in February, then you're going to see it drag out a little bit. People will be a little bit more nervous. But we also had these same nerves, not the same situation, but same nerves with Malik Monk, a few others that ended up working out. I don't want to get into, Jason, we're overvaluing Keon Ellis,
right,
but we're not talking about Michael Jordan.
No.
He's an important player to this team. We
Absolutely.
want him to stay here, but let's calm down. I'll take the flexibility, and I'll shut up now, Jason, because Scott Perry inherited a very weird, very bloated contract roster. Work needs to be done to change that. This is part of that work.
Yeah, and this is one of the players that I don't think, according to reports, and I believe them, that, if people are looking at trade targets, the Kings probably low on their list was a guy like Keon.
That's right.
Because of his contract value.
That's
now you're going to what his contract value is. You said it perfectly. He's outplayed it. It's similar to Brock Purdy. You knew at some point it was coming.
That's right.
But the value of having Brock Purdy playing at that was you could add to the roster. And so as much as it currently at this minute might stink for Keon, it doesn't mean that they can't get the team a little bit better, which is a goal, and then still get his reward. And even if that doesn't happen, it's coming for Keon.
Yes.
And, I don't think that means he's gone for sure at the end of the year, but he could be. I mean, that's the way this sport works. And it's tough. I think they still think very highly of him, and it could work out to even a larger payday. You just don't know how this is all going to shake out.
That was Carmichael Dave and Jason Ross. And the most important thing to me is that Keon and the Kings seem to still be in a good place. Look, that's fine. That's all fine and good. If Keon goes off this season, I mean, to me, I wouldn't call it a win-win. But if Keon goes off and, may or may not price himself out, hey, this was a great relationship. It's a great story for Keon, and go get your bread and go get your paper when it's time to do that. Obviously, the Kings wouldn't want to lose him in that moment, but, if you want to be in that conversation, you can be in that conversation. When they go to attempt to extend him, assuming that they do attempt to extend him before the season is over, just come correct, right? Just come correct. And that's what his agent is going to say. So it's not over. It's not over yet. I do think there's a little bit of purple lenses on. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in the 11 o'clock hour. But let's just wait and see. As I said to start the show, there will be plenty of time to react, so we don't need to overreact right now. I am kind of itching to see when the Kings are going to sign their first person, though, because every time I'm refreshing this thing over and over again. And maybe it'll happen in the 11 o'clock hour. When we return, we talk Keegan Murray. What does the Jabari Smith deal mean for Keegan Murray? And LeBron accepts his option, because why wouldn't he? But nobody else is interested. Allen Stiles, Sacramento Sports.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6580. That's 800-583-6580.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
So I was taking my side hustle full-time.
Bold move, my friend.
And I needed to find everything in one stop.
Like finding Bigfoot riding a unicorn.
Yes, so I hit the Staples Easy button. Staples had everything for a new office and print services for signs and brochures. Plus, Cindy, the Staples associate, helped me find the best tech for me.
Wait, no drama?
No, Staples made it easy.
For the products, services, and experts your business needs. Staples.
That was easy.
In-store, online, and on the app.
Allen Stiles here with your Sactown Sports Injury Update, brought to you by Downtown LA Law Group. Shea Langoliers, out with that strained left oblique, started his rehab assignment last week with AAA Las Vegas. His expected return is July. Zach Geloff, out with that stress reaction in his ribs, continues his rehab in AAA Las Vegas and is targeting a return during the A's 9-game homestand in early July. That was your Sactown Sports Injury Update, brought to you by Downtown LA Law Group. Hey, I'm Allen Stiles. Have an injury? Call Downtown. Downtown LA Law Group, an injury law firm, has many happy clients in Sacramento and the surrounding areas who have called Downtown. Get paid for your injuries from slip and falls or auto accidents. One of their most recent settlements was $1.5 million for a motorcycle accident. Have you had an auto accident? Call Downtown. Text injury help to 40222. That's injury help to 40222 and visit them at calldowntown.com.
Only one radio program captures the excitement of hunting and fishing as it happens. The award-winning California Sportsman with Sep Hendrickson. Only California Sportsman takes you where the action is. Live on the water, live in the blind, and live with the top pros and experts in outdoor sports. California Sportsman with Fishing Hall of Famer Sep Hendrickson is your premier destination for all things outdoors. Sep's Saturday Morning Outdoors. Ultimate Bass and California Sportsman, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. Saturdays on Sactown Sports 1140.
Since 1776, July 4th has been celebrated as the birth of American independence, but has been a federal holiday only since 1941. Hi, this is Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. It was a mere 7 years later when the Keys family opened their first Naturewood store in Sacramento, and I guess Northern Californians have been celebrating ever since. We celebrate an incredible selection of furniture brands made right here in America. We celebrate the kind of generous hometown hospitality that was important to Walter Keyes in 1948 and continues with the Keyes family and the Naturewood Home Furnishing staff today. And we celebrate the kind of quality that's been synonymous with Naturewood for all these 77 years. Look for made-in-America brands like Stickley, Bassett, Stanton, Trailway, Simply Amish, and more during the Naturewood 4th of July sales event. Find the furniture that you will celebrate for years to come. Naturewood Home Furnishings off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for the water wheel.
This summer, give your kids a reason to smile, brightly. At Kids Care Dental, we make dental visits fun with a kid-friendly team, easy to schedule appointments, and expert doctors who really care.
Whether it's a checkup, a cleaning, or their very first visit, we've got you covered. We accept most insurances, and we're always ready when your schedule gets hectic.
Smiles grow here. Book online in minutes at kidscaredental.com. That's kidscaredental.com. Kids Care Dental, where healthy teeth make happy kids.
Hot summer savings explode at Maida's Elk Grove Chevy. Save $12,000 off MSRP after rebates. Every new 2025 Silverado half-ton LT and RST in stock.
Maida Chevy has similar savings on every new Silverado. One of the largest selections in the Sacramento area.
$12,000 off new Silverado exclusively at the Maida Chevy Silverado Supercenter. Now that's big, huge. See them all at MaidaChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
West rated 2011 renewal. Not available with special financing, lease, and some other offers.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave. I got to tell you, I am so excited to get this decking project started with Trex Decking and Railings. From the first time I stepped foot in the showroom last week, I was so impressed. So many color options, heat-resistant composite deck. What does that mean? That means I don't have to do any maintenance on it whatsoever. They even have a deck designer, so you can go online and see what your dream deck will look like on your house. Just visit Trex, that's TREX.com to get it started. Tell them Carmichael Dave sent you.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
Sacktown Sports, 1140. Your home for Kings talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
Taking you up to 2 p.m. Couple of moves already being made. Free agent forward Nicholas Batum has re-signed with the Los Angeles Clippers on a 2-year, $12 million deal. And every time I think of Nicholas Batum, I think of, what was it, that play-in game maybe 3 years ago, and somebody tweeted, "Why is Batum in?" And then he went off in that play-in game, and I think it was his girlfriend or his wife tweeted, "That's why Batum in." And I think of that every single time I see Nicholas Batum. He's not even, I think when he was on the Sixers. So every time I see that, that's what I think of. And he is staying with the Los Angeles Clippers,
which is no surprise.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. As we take you up to 2 p.m., we have been very Keon Ellis forward in this first hour, and we still have some notes on it, but there are other things that have happened that we want to get to as far as how it pertains to the Kings. And one of those things being Jabari Smith Jr. So I think the kind of comparison between him and Keegan is fascinating, right? So Jabari is 3 years younger than Keegan, which is a big deal. But on top of that, you see Jabari at 12.2 points per game, Keegan at 12.4 points per game, Jabari at 7 rebounds per game, Keegan at 6.7 rebounds per game, 1.1 assists on 44, 35, 82. Those are the percentages. And Keegan, 1.4 assists on 44, 34, and 83. So you really couldn't get any closer to being exactly the same. And and we talked to Yossi Gozlan in the first hour. You can go check that out on YouTube or on the Sacktown Sports app or on the TuneIn app. I'll say this. As much as we're talking about not messing around with Keon, and now we're doing the thing where, Yossi says, Carmichael Day, first of all, kind of said, hey, Keon's not Michael Jordan here. I'm kind of sharing those sentiments where, hey, he's a good player, but I just want to wait and see. It's not even that I don't want Keon. It's just, until we have reason to believe that this thing is not going the right direction, I'm going to try to be optimistic. Yossi as well, sharing the same sentiments. Hey, Keon's a good player, but when you don't make the playoffs the last couple seasons here, there comes a line between the found money and this guy we need to keep this guy around for the next 3, 4, 5 years. Because here's the reality, right? The reality is that in a perfect world, Scott Perry doesn't have to lean on Keon the same way, or Keon's growth the same way the Kings have had to lean on Keon and Keon's growth the last couple years, right? And that's no knock on Keon. He's a really, really good player. But we got here because the Kings were horrible on defense, and those who could play defense could not throw a rock into the ocean. That's what it was. Remember how we got here. De'Aaron Fox injured, those Houston Rockets games. Mike Brown, who couldn't have loved Davion more than any other player, I can't play you. And by the way, now everybody wants to have discussions about Davion in Miami and bringing him back, and I get that. He had a nice little run out there in Miami.
And he just got paid.
Good for him. Right, and right now it's all the returning players that are getting signed. It's going to be a little later in the day when it opens up to teams or players going to different teams. So that's all fine and good, but let's not forget how we got here. We got here because Davion, and somebody tagged me, the Sacramento designated hitters. Okay, cool. You can defend smaller point guards. Nice. Your three-pointer comes and goes. Okay. You can create a decent bit. All right. Now he goes to Miami. We shouldn't have let him go 3 elite point guard. Stop it. We saw Keon because he essentially beat out Davion Mitchell. That's what happened. So let's not forget how we got here. So when your number, 9 pick in the draft is getting leapfrogged by an undrafted player, obviously that happens. It's not an indictment on, on Keon or saying anything like that. But we didn't get here because Keon was just so amazing that there was no other choice but to play him. He just blew everybody out of the water, and he's this budding superstar. No, we got here because the team and the roster was a disaster, and everybody was as allergic to defense as I am when I wake up in the morning before I take my Allegra. That's how we got here. And Keon has answered the call. But this is a team that didn't make the playoffs. So if you're Scott Perry, again, now there's levels to this. We're about to talk about the Keegan extension, and it leads us right into it. There's levels to this. But Scott Perry wants to keep the flexibility. And according to Yossi Gozlan, he's basically saying, look, we'll see what happens with Keon, but I'm not necessarily ready to say that he's going to be in a position. Maybe the Kings do get priced out, but it ain't going to be this by this ridiculous amount unless Keon does. They're taking a gamble, and that's what Yossi said. You're either taking a gamble on having some incredible value, or you're also taking a gamble on missing out on that value, and now he balled out, and now he's priced you out.
And so, using the words of Scott Perry, he's being prudent at the moment.
Yes. So basically, the Kings are saying, yeah, we think that Keon would be on a nice deal, but we don't think it would be this ridiculous steal. So I would compare it to what we saw from maybe Bobby Portis the last couple of years. Right? Everybody's saying, dang, Bobby Portis only making, 11, 12 million? Or Naz Reid, dang, They got Naz Reid, and Naz Reid only making $12 million.
And they both just got cash out this weekend too. I
Yes,
mean,
they
Naz
did.
Reid just got $25 million a year for 5 years. 5 years, $125 million.
Right.
And Bobby Portis, I know it was $44 million. I can't recall the years, but he just got a bag too. So
they're thinking, I don't know that it's going to be that ridiculous where it was hard to even put Bobby Portis in the trade generator because his value was so much more than what he was actually getting paid. That's where everything kind of fell at the moment. Now, when it goes to Keegan and the comparison between Keegan, Jabari Smith Jr., and the Trey Murphys of the world, Keegan's a little bit different. We talked about who's got the most value on the team. We had this conversation last week. Who's got the most value on the team? I think Keon, even being in this conversation, is an incredible testament to his hard work, his work ethic, and the Kings being able to kind of form him as a ball player. But it was still Keegan Murray. It was still Keegan Murray with the most value on the team. So here's a guy who goes 6'7", 6'8", and we know what he brings to the table. Yeah, you got to make sure that you don't lose Keegan. And people are, oh, well, he's not a superstar. It doesn't matter. You cannot lose Keegan, right? And hopefully they're able to keep both of them. But how they view the Keegan Murray extension is completely different to how they view the Keon Ellis option situation. And I think it should be, as much as I like Keon. Ramsey, last week, you texted in.
Yes, I did.
And I said I wouldn't want to move Keon. It was basically more of a question about the overvaluing of certain Kings players. If you are a Kings fan, if you're a part of Kings media. And whenever I say this, I always caveat it. This isn't a Kings thing, right? Just go talk to a Spurs fan or a Heat fan or a Warriors fan. They don't want to give up nobody either. We all do it, and it's cool. But Ramsey, you weren't necessarily overvaluing Keon. And what was the quote? You said, I would move him in a heartbeat. Was that the quote?
I'd move him in a heartbeat without hesitation if there was some form of value that I could get above and beyond what he contributes to this team. And I've been that way a lot of times since Keon's been here. I respect his defense. He's great on that end. His offense is sporadic. One game he'll hit 9 threes in a game. Mm-hmm. Next game he'll be Mr. MIA. He'll be Mr. MIA, and I'm not talking about the area code 305 Miami. He'll be missing in action on the offensive side. Yeah. So I need, if you're going to keep him, I need some form of consistency. More so on the offensive side, not questioning the defense. We all know what he provides on that end, but I need some form of consistency there. And one name that Yossi Gozlin brought up that's on the market now is that Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you could potentially get him in addition to Keon, that would be outstanding. But there's still other people in the fold that were on this organization last year that the Kings need to make some decisions on as well. Whether they decide to bring back a Trey Lyles, a Jake LaRavia, that's all in the air as well. And as you were saying, I don't want the Kings just to make a move. I'm going to use Scott Perry's words again. I want the Kings to be prudent in the moves that they make, whatever that may be.
I'm just double checking here because that name got brought up, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Okay, and here it is. So Keon goes 6'3". I'm seeing him even on the draft prospect 6'4". All right. His wingspan is 6 feet 8.5 inches. Okay. You have Nickeil Alexander-Walker. His wingspan is 6 feet 9.5 inches. And the reason I bring this up is because when we were talking to Yosli, and he goes 6'5", by the way. So about an inch and a half, 2 inches, depending on where you're looking at it. So he's just slightly bigger than Keon, right? But I look at Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and that's essentially what Yossi said. This was honestly the argument to keep him is, do you think he could become a Nickeil Alexander-Walker within the next year or two? Very similar makeups, right? Even though, and I would say Nickeil Alexander-Walker, because he's a little bit bigger, he rarely handles the basketball.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he doesn't handle the basketball at all, and Keon does. Keon's a little smaller, as we mentioned. From three-point range, I think Keon, and I can look up, where Nickeil Alexander-Walker is as far as percentage-wise, but off the top of my head, I feel as if Keon is a more consistent shooter. So, and so Nickeil, he is at 38%, which is that's really good. And we know Keon is right up there as well. So to me, the argument to sign Keon was Keon's at 43.3% from three. But I hear you, Ramsey, because it is catch and shoot. Right?
Exactly.
He's not creating that much. And just one last note on the two of them while we're already here. Keon is 25 years old. He'll be 26 in January. And Nickeil Alexander-Walker is about to turn 27 in September. So slightly older. To me, that's the argument.
And they're two, just comparing and contrasting what you said is you're comparing basically very similar players just age-wise, and their contributions to whatever team that they're on are quite similar.
Mm-hmm. So I'm looking here, and he's at Nickeil Alexander-Walker, his career, he's at 8.6 points per game, 2.3 assists per game, 2.5 rebounds per game. As far as Keon is concerned, he's at 6.5 points per game, 2.2 rebounds per game, 1.4 assists per game. So I think the argument to keep him is, hey, do we think Keon could be our version of Nickeil Alexander-Walker in a year or two? Scott Perry was put in a difficult position, and that was and it's not even to keep him because they haven't lost him yet.
No, they haven't lost him. And just speaking to Nickeil Alexander-Walker, as we've been speaking to, I also personally, with Keon Ellis, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, I think he's more effective coming off the bench than he is starting because he can provide that spark, that energy that you need within that second unit. With what they were doing with starting him, you slightly lost that edge, that energy that you need in that second unit to come in. If the starters don't have it that night, boom, you throw Keon in, he'll provide the spark. You already have the spark in. You have nothing in that first unit. That second unit has to look to try to find the spark somewhere else, and it's almost flat to begin with.
Yeah, but that was a Malik Monk argument too, and we'll see what happens. Obviously, Malik is locked up, but he's been a part of some trade rumors. As far as Nickeil Alexander-Walker is concerned, so much has been said about him and him being a free agent right now. I do wonder if he will start on the next team that he's on. Because I do feel as if what he is right now, and this, I can't get off of this Nickeil Alexander-Walker comparison, because I feel like he is best served as he is right now.
Yes.
He's going to be, 27 in September, so he's about to hit his prime, but are teams thinking that he can take another leap, or are they paying him and are okay with, again, going to the style of play that the NBA is at right now? Hey, you come off the bench, defend your you-know-what off, and hit some threes. So I don't know if a team bringing him in is thinking he's got another leap left. I don't know that they mind that.
I don't think so either. And just to your point, I think it just depends on the team that he signs with. Some team, if he's on a younger, potentially up and coming team that still needs pieces, I could see him starting. But for example, I'll use this team as an example, and we'll get to this later about Malik Beasley. But if Nickeil Alexander-Walker signed in Detroit, he's not starting. He's going to be that energy man coming off the bench, providing the defense. So it all depends on time and situation for him.
Yeah, and I'm really torn. The more I talk about it, because what Yossi said is just sticking with me. Of the Third Apron, go check that out on YouTube if you missed it. If you're taking your kid to Kids Care Dental, wherever it was, go check that out on YouTube and on the Sacktown Sports app. Because now I do wonder. I'm all good with the flexibility, right? But I do fear when you look at the Herb Jones of the world and the Nickeil Alexander-Walkers of the world, wings are being very, very overvalued right now, and there's a reason for that. Keon is a smaller wing. I get all that. But based on the fact that it's really hard to get wings, even if you have a smaller one, it is quite the gamble to say we're going to take a chance on Keon, because my whole point is if Keon has a good season, the Kings haven't lost him, but what we're seeing is wings are getting overpaid right now, and I don't see that stopping.
I don't either, because, I mean, I'll back up to last year. There was a wing that everybody in Sacramento was shouting for that I wish they would have picked up that's now in Dallas, and Najee Marshall.
Right.
He probably got more money on the market than he should have because he's a wing, and every team needs a wing, and he took advantage of it.
And to that point, and we'd have to look at, and he's big, he's 6'6", but to that point, we think Keon's going to be better than Najee Marshall.
We don't know.
We don't know, but I'd be willing to bet on it.
Potentially. I mean, here, I'll bring up another example of a wing that the Kings looked at a couple years ago that I would have loved to have. I'd still take him to this day as a wing. Derrick Jones Jr., this with the Clippers.
Well, that one gets tough.
Yeah.
That one gets tough because that dude is a freak of nature athletically.
But still, he's what we're referring to in this conversation. He's another wing that's taking advantage of the market, being a wing. Scores a little bit, plays defense. He doesn't have the nickname airplane mode for nothing. And those are the valued pieces now in the NBA because they're very hard to come by. And once you discover it and know what they do, every team wants it.
Yeah, another guy. And again, these guys are all a little bigger than Keon, but Royce O'Neal, another guy, right? Who again, maybe not the overpaid conversation, but everybody wants to do like that. All these guys are going to be on.
I got another one that just came on the market that's a little older, but I'd still take him that Kings fans were asking for. Dorian Finney-Smith.
Yeah, all of them.
I mean, again, these gentlemen that we're talking about are larger than Keon, but their role in the NBA is what we're describing. They're wings that everybody wants, 3 and D.
And this brings us back to the discussion we had about Nick Clifford and making sure you're bringing in guys that fit that mold, because the more we talk about it right now, Jake LaRavia is cooked. He's gone.
That was my whole thought. I was texting with a couple of our station employees when the draft happened. I said Nick Clifford is potentially the replacement for Jake LaRavia, and Maxime Reynaud is potentially the replacement for Trey Lyles, even though I hate to admit it.
Yeah, because it's just what it is. You start seeing these numbers being thrown around. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is a good player, right? I believe right now, due to the need and want of wings in this league, he's being a little bit overvalued.
And he's going to get whoever gets him is going to pay him.
And the Herb Jones thing, right? I don't know what the hell the Pelicans are doing, because I think that they should. And we saw this with Cam Johnson. I mean, Cam Johnson is way better offensively than Herb Jones and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, so it made a little bit more sense. He's got injury questions.
Yes.
But we saw the same thing, right? The only wing with bad value right now is probably Kyle Kuzma, just because of how poorly he played in Milwaukee. But the conversation of keeping Keon or not keeping Keon, it's really a matter of, do you think or do you believe that you would get more out of him the first couple years of this contract to make it worth that value and to possibly put yourself in a tougher spot right now? Do you believe Keon would make up for that?
Well, I almost want to even bring something back, seeing that we're on the whole wing conversation or defensive forward conversation. Hindsight's 2020. Looking at it, you knew what you got from Harrison Barnes when we had him here in Sacramento. He doesn't change. You knew what you got. Now people a year later love Debo. We're going to put that on the back conversation. But there's now people talking about, oh, maybe we should have kept Harrison Barnes. Maybe we should have kept his value. He may not be this star player, but he gives you the value. He knows his role. You know what you get from him almost on a nightly basis.
When we return, Jabari Smith versus Keegan Murray. Is Keegan in line to get cashed out? Also, LeBron James accepts his option, but may want out. What teams are interested in LeBron? I heard nobody. Allen Stiles, Sacramento Sports.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6580. That's 800-583-6580.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Carmichael Dave here for my friends at American Energy Heating and Air. Yes, I always tell you they are a family-owned operation, been in business since 81, A+ Better Business Bureau, but it is hot. We are in those Sacramento hot months. I want to focus on them being your second opinion partner. What does that mean? Maybe you've got somebody you're working with or you've worked with in the past in the HVAC world. Guess what? They want to give you a second opinion. How much does it cost? Nothing. You call them up and say, hey, can I get a second opinion on this deal? They come out and they either say, wow, that's a great deal, you should feel better about that. Or they say, we can beat that price. And usually they're going to beat it by a lot. Guess what? You just saved money and it didn't cost you anything to find out. It's a no-lose situation. Go with a trusted company. American Energy, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com. Jingle singers, take it away.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Get ready for a night out with Jordan Davis. It's Country in the Park 2, Saturday, September 13th at Cal Expo. Along with special guests Mitchell Tenpenny, Low Cash, Vincent Mason, and Averyana. Make it a family day out with food trucks, games, dancing, and more. Saturday, September 13th at Cal Expo with Hoblit Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center. Tickets and info at CITPFest.com.
I'm Ken Korak with your Green and Gold Report, brought to you by Comcast Business, powering possibilities. Well, there's a real chance of Jacob Wilson starting the All-Star game. As of the start of the A's current trip, he had a 250,000 vote lead at shortstop. Next up, the final vote of the top two finishers. If he wins that, he'll become the first A's shortstop to start the game in 50 years. Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. It's how retailers become seamlessly restocking, cyber-securing must-visit shops. And it's how healthcare offices become data-managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business.
With 25 award-winning years in Northern California, Ashton & Price is your local injury law firm. Pro attorney tip: if a firm presents as local, but they're in LA, red flag. If your first consultation is not with a lawyer, big red flag. At Ashton & Price, your first consult is with a local attorney, and if serious injury prevents travel, a lawyer will come to you. Still not enough? George Washington's my uncle. At Ashton & Price, no red flags, just red, white, and blue.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton & Price.
Celebrate the 4th with freedom from high prices. The 4th of July savings sale is happening now at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Fire up your summer with 4th of July savings on a new Civic or Accord. Own or lease today at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our #1 priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too.
Folsom Lake Honda.
Go to FolsomLakeHonda.com.
Your one-stop Honda shop.
The only station in Sacramento giving you local sports coverage from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Sacktown Sports.
The 916 on the text line. I agree. I trade anybody on the Kings in 916-339-1140 if you want to be a part of the conversation. I agree. I trade anybody on the Kings roster as long as it needed something worth making, or as long as it was worth making our team better, no matter who it was. If it made our team better, that's a sacrifice the Kings got to learn to make. Yeah, and it really just depends. Ramsey and I filling for Kyle Ledbetter, taking you up to 2 p.m. Ramsey and I were discussing the DeMar DeRozan conversation, and Scott Perry, great interview. He's been all over the station, and we truly appreciate it. He was on with the Drive guys and, reading tea leaves as to whether or not DeMar DeRozan will still be on the team. Y'all know what I've been saying. You think I'm joking about this day, nothing like us. And yeah, I'm kind of joking when I say that, but I'm not really joking about running DeMar DeRozan back.
And you know me. I've said it since April 17th.
When Yossi Gozlan says, Allen, when I'm looking at DeMar DeRozan, and he said he had to do more research on it, but when you got guys bringing up Terry Rozier in 2 seconds, and it's starting to get damn near disrespectful simply because we understand it's not about DeMar DeRozan, the player. It's the cost. It's the production as far as the gravity, how teams want to spend their assets and their money. If it's getting to that point, then as much as it's me joking about day nothing like us and DeMar coming home and, ownership really liking the idea of having DeMar DeRozan on the team, also from a financial point of view, if you're going to lose that much value, again, that was the Play It Again sports joke that I made on Friday. You might as well hold on to him. I think the issue is if we know that the three of them, Malik, DeMar, and Zach LaVine, the three of them don't really make sense together, or it just makes it really hard to build a roster having those three on the team because of the lack of defensive prowess. My question is, what are you moving Malik for? And I don't really like what we've heard so far, because keeping DeMar DeRozan on the squad with Zach LaVine, I'm not sure where RJ Barrett fits in there, right? Do you move? We could just play the game quickly, unless we're having a DeMar DeRozan coming off the bench conversation, which I don't know that we're there yet. But is it DeMar at the 2? Assuming they get Schroder, because that's what all the rumors are. Schroder at the 1, DeMar at the 2, RJ at the 3. Well, you got to put LaVine somewhere too. So
that's a small, it's tough, say they got RJ Barrett. That's a small lineup. Because Keegan has to play the 4.
I'm just thinking in my head, there's not if you get RJ for Malik, because Malik's currently coming off the bench.
Exactly,
that's the issue. So if you got RJ,
he'd probably have to come off the bench,
or you're bringing DeMar off the bench.
And I'm not bringing Debo off the bench.
If he's willing, I don't know that DeMar is willing to come off the bench for a 9 seed. I don't know. I think I would like to have that conversation, but I don't know.
And are you sold that the Kings are signing Dennis Schroder? Because, there's other point guards out there, and there's other in my mind that I wouldn't mind. I'd be willing to accept him here in Sacramento.
So, again, referencing the time we spent with Yossi, I think one thing, and I've talked about my feelings on CP3, and I just don't think CP3, he doesn't want to Sacramento ain't his first choice, right? I think he wants to stay in LA. But as far as Ty Jerome is concerned, one note that Yossi did say is that they could get that mid-level exception, specifically Ty Jerome, or more. And I don't think the Kings are in the – and I wouldn't – you know how I feel about Ty Jerome coming off a career season. Stay away.
Yeah.
Do not overpay that man for one really good season.
There's another point guard that, I've in my head, I've come to the realization I wouldn't mind him here whatsoever. I take Russell Westbrook here.
But both of those – look, Tyus Jones, Russell Westbrook, both are going to be cheaper than Ty Jerome and Dennis Schroder.
Exactly.
And if they're all here – it really just depends on – who is there, again, going back to the same conversation of Zubac versus Domantas Sabonis, whatever is Tyus Jones or is Ty Jerome, if he's going to get, I don't know, $16 million a year, right? Is Ty Jerome because if Tyus is stuck at that minimum again, is Ty Jerome $10 million better than Tyus Jones? Last season he was.
Last season.
But I don't think in total he is.
Not in my opinion either.
So I'm not paying Ty Jerome $10 million more than Tyus Jones, praying that he replicates something that he's never done before in his career.
Yeah, and that's why I brought up Westbrook. Westbrook wouldn't need that much money. He could actually, I mean, him and Sabonis, honestly, could feed off each other like he did with Jokic in Denver, and the ball would actually flow, meaning the ball would flow and move, and you still would have Zach and Debo as your primary scorers.
Yeah.
I mean, Russell Westbrook, honestly, if you brought him in and you started him, he's at this point in his career where he would understand he probably would be the fifth option in the offense.
I think,
because you still have to find a way to get Keegan the ball some way, somehow.
Right.
And Keegan's got to be aggressive on his own and go get the ball himself as well.
Some of the conversations that we've had, right? The other name that got brought up last week and more steam is coming from the pot over the weekend as well is Jonathan Kuminga. But again, if you're keeping DeMar DeRozan, or if you feel, hey, we still need, number one, we still need a closer. Very true. And number two, it is not worth us to lose. You talk about losing De'Aaron Fox for what? 70 cents on the dollar. And no, this is no disrespect to Terry Rozier, but you lose DeMar DeRozan for Terry Rozier in a couple seconds. I mean, what? That's like 15. Have you seen Terry Rozier play?
Hey, I was trying to make it all out of 15 cents.
That is 15 cents on the dollar. So I'm not doing that. Now, you want to have the Malik Monk conversation. I also am not trying to have DeMar DeRozan and Jonathan Kuminga along with Zach LaVine, Keegan, and you can't even do that because you have no point guard in that situation. So it's not a matter of not being open to moving Malik Monk. Everyone we've heard Malik Monk connected to, whether it's RJ Barrett or Jonathan Kuminga, if you're making a decision, okay, we need to move on from one of these three guys. Yeah, those aren't the guys that you bring in that situation.
No, and my main issue with Jonathan Kuminga is I get he's young and he may not have found a role. Yeah, a lot of times people need to leave the situation they're at to blossom and spread their wings. But if you fell out of favor with Steve Kerr, where are you going to follow to even attempt to reestablish yourself in this league?
So he's looking for someone said he's looking for 30 million. He gonna keep looking. I do not see Jonathan Kuminga getting 30 million a year, as we discussed. Look at Jabari Smith Jr. Jabari Smith Jr. just got 24. Obviously we're talking about it as far as the Keegan Murray of it all with the Kings, but Jabari Smith Jr., who more so again fits the mold of this day and age of the NBA. Jabari Smith Jr. getting 24 point whatever million a year. Jonathan Kuminga, why in the world would you be getting anywhere near 30 million a year?
Not even he's not even gonna get. I don't feel he should even get close to the 24 mil that Jabari Smith got, and Jabari Smith is a part of that core in Houston of what they're trying to establish. Mm-hmm. Jonathan Kuminga isn't a part of a core of any team that's trying to establish something at the moment.
He's trying to become a member of somebody's core, but
I can tell you where he could go. He could go replace his potential former teammate that left and is now in New Orleans. He can go to the Wizards.
He
can go to the Wizards and do whatever, try to establish whatever he wants there.
Wizards, Nets. I know the Nets are the only team that have the pure cap space, but obviously we're talking a sign and trade. You know what is interesting though? You bring up the Wizards, and obviously I'd have to double check. What when guys can get moved and things like that. Now that you bring that up, on the other side, there's actually a really good fit off the top of my head, and it would stink for Kings fans. We'll tell you what that fit is when we return. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6580. That's 800-583-6580.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
So I was taking my side hustle full time.
Bold move, my friend.
And I needed to find everything in one stop.
Like finding Bigfoot riding a unicorn.
Yes, so I hit the Staples Easy button. Staples had everything for a new office and print services for signs and brochures. Plus, Cindy, the Staples associate, helped me find the best tech for me.
Wait, no drama?
No, Staples made it easy.
For the products, services, and experts your business needs. Staples.
That was easy.
In-store, online, and on the app.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Finally, an easy way to find home improvement contractors. Just visit subcontractorsunited.com and simplify your search for home services professionals. From cabinets to windows, roofing to plumbing, Subcontractors United is an easy, simple way to find and hire a home improvement contractor. And you never have to give up personal information. So no harassing phone calls like you get from those other websites. Subcontractorsunited.com is sponsored by D&D Cabinets and Savage Design.
If your passion is bass fishing, only one radio show has the action, information, and excitement of your favorite outdoor sport. Ultimate Bass, hosted by Tournament Bass Pro and California Outdoor Hall of Famer Kent Brown, takes you live to where the fish are biting every Saturday morning. Only Ultimate Bass feeds your passion with the latest news, products, tips, and advice from the pros. Ultimate Bass with Kent Brown, Saturday mornings at 5 a.m. on Sacktown Sports 1140, part of SEP's Saturday Morning Outdoors.
Hey, I'm Allen Stiles. Have an injury? Call Downtown. Downtown LA Law Group, an injury law firm, has many happy clients in Sacramento and the surrounding areas who have called Downtown. Get paid for your injuries from slip and falls or auto accidents. One of their most recent settlements was $1.5 million for a motorcycle accident. Have you had an auto accident? Call Downtown. Text injury help to 40222. That's injury help to 40222 and visit them at calldowntown.com.
Looking for fun for the whole family? Sacramento River Cats Baseball has it all at Sutter Health Park. Enjoy exciting baseball, kids' activities, tasty ballpark treats, and more. Family memories start here. Get your River Cats baseball tickets at rivercats.com.
Do some research during the break because I think the issue is how much teams can take back in a sign and trade. The same way people are saying the Kings can't sign Kuminga for DeRozan, it would have to be for Malik Monk. So I would imagine might be something similar as to why it wouldn't work. But if I'm the and this guy is actually making more money. It's expiring, but making more money than I thought. But if I'm the Warriors, to your point, Ramsey, I mean, 33 years old, kind of fits the mold. He's a playmaker, even if he's not a pure point guard. I mean, a sign and trade, again, I don't know that it would even work because of how much money a team can take on. But if you're the Warriors, I mean, you sign and trade Jonathan Kuminga for CJ McCollum, then the CJ, he's expiring, take a team-friendly deal after that. He's making $30.6 million, which is kind of nuts. But like I said, it's expiring. I don't know. Obviously, Kuminga ain't getting, he thinks he's getting 30, but he's not getting 30. You throw in somebody else to kind of make that money work. I don't know if it's that black and white, but that's something that makes sense to me if I'm the Warriors.
I mean, that sounds like a Warriors type move because they've done moves like that in the recent past to pick up some type of veteran or something like that. But again, money wise, where's the money going to come from? Because they just gave Jimmy Butler $50+ million for 2 seasons. Steph is still getting his bag. I think Draymond's either still on the contract or on his last year, his $100 million deal. I mean, where, like you said, $30 million expiring, but once they do that, I mean, that's the Warriors. That's on them. They can figure it out on their own, but where's the money going to come from?
Yeah, and again, I know that Moses Moody just signed that, 3-year deal? So he's making about $9 million a year. Now, you would have a conversation, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody for CJ McCollum. That sounds like the Warriors would now say that's too much. If CJ McCollum says, hey, I'll sign 3 years with you, maybe that's a conversation. As we are kind of discussing Jonathan Kuminga, that those rumors and the fit on the Kings and where he just fits in general. He wants runway. And, people were kind of getting at me over the weekend because Jonathan Kuminga, there was the report, obviously, there have been a couple reports, but Clutch Points and Mark Stein, everybody's reporting on Kuminga. So I mentioned the report, and somebody quote tweeted me for a tweet that I said, Jonathan Kuminga, if the Kings get him, they're basically talking about a rebuild. So why would Domantas Sabonis want to play for the Kings? Now, that's my opinion versus a report, right? That's still pretty much my opinion. I will say this. I've been more convinced lately after having the roundtable and Brendan Nunez kind of talking me through it. I could be convinced. I still think you have a different problem, though, because you trade Malik Monk, and I know he had a down year shooting, but you make a move and you get Jonathan Kuminga, that team is going to have issues spacing and shooting the basketball.
I'm going to, as being convinced, I'm going to agree to disagree. You can't convince me to get Jonathan Kuminga in Sacramento. Like you said, the spacing, you don't know what you also don't know what's between the ears at the moment. You don't know what type of headspace he's in either, because there's been not rumors, but reports that he's had issues trying to establish himself in San Francisco because he doesn't have the greatest relationship with his head coach trying to get on the floor. So is he in that same headspace? Would he come to Sacramento with a clear mind? I mean,
we know where he's at. He just sat down with Anthony Slater. He said, I want to be the man. He's literally told us. So can he be the man in Sacramento?
I got two words for that. I got 2 words for that. Houseway.
Not on the, but that's what I'm saying. Not on the Kings.
Not on a bunch of teams, including the Kings. That's why I used the Washington Wizards. He could be the man there.
Wizards, Hornets,
Utah.
That's basically it's not a ton of teams.
No.
Got some news coming out. This is 39 seconds ago. Like I said, I keep refreshing that thing. Jordan Clarkson is finalizing a contract buyout with the Utah Jazz. Sources tell ESPN Clarkson will target contending teams for his new home, with interest from multiple playoff teams already expected. So a buyout's basically a nice way of saying, hey, nobody thinks you're worth what you're currently getting paid. Or is that you accepting, hey, nobody thinks I'm worth this. Let me just get this buyout so I can just play at a smaller amount.
Either that or the buyout is establishing the fact of the team that they're on and the player that there is. It's a nice way of mutually parting ways.
So it just came out this weekend that there was no trade interest for Jordan Clarkson. I'm sure the Jazz said that to Jordan Clarkson. They had a conversation, and Jordan Clarkson said, okay, let's see what we can work out with the buyout because, asset to asset, money to money, maybe there's an issue there. But if I'm just a buyout candidate and I get bought out and I can kind of control how much I feel like I'm worth in the situation. It also allows, I would say that's the other piece of this. It allows players to control their situation. I don't know where Clarkson would have been headed, but now he can say yes to team. You're taking a pay cut, but now you can say yes to teams, no to teams, and things like that. And that brother had to be in Utah for the past, feels like forever.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that he's going to get on at it.
So do I. I'll touch back on Jordan Clarkson in just a second, but there's another person that Utah put on the free agent market that probably wouldn't cost much, and I think he needs a different fit. What's your opinion on Johnny Juzang?
Johnny Juzang, I thought we saw there was a little bit of news on him.
Yeah, they're not renewing his contract and he's becoming a free agent. That's why I was asking, if it didn't cost you much, would you consider Juzang in Sacramento?
Yeah. I think that there's kind of an appetite for someone like that. I know he's, UCLA and kind of had that college run, and we know Scott Perry does like stuff like that.
And I think, unfortunately, if Jake LaRavia cannot be brought back and renewed, he could find similar size. He could potentially fit that role of Jake LaRavia, bring the hustle, hit a couple shots, and maybe I don't want to say reestablish, but be able to establish himself further in the NBA than what he showed in Utah.
Yeah, he turned 24 back in March. He goes, I've seen 6'6". Basketball Reference has him as 6'7".
I was 6'7" myself.
Yeah, 64 games, 8.9 points, 2.9 rebounds, 1.1 assists, 37.6% from three, 42.9% from the field.
On a Utah team.
Yeah, 102 games played. He was drafted in 2023.
Yeah.
Okay, so
because he was on the same UCLA team with Jaime Jaquez.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that's another name that is going to be floating around, and I think the biggest thing is how the Kings want to formulate this, because you lose Jake LaRavia, that stinks. You did bring in Nick Clifford. I know Juzang's a bit bigger, but I just wish I could see and we could even create one ourselves, a priority list for the Kings and what is that. I know point guard's got to be at the top now.
Exactly. And getting back to the Utah thing, would you take Jordan Clarkson here in Sacramento?
I would not. Personally.
If for some reason, let me ask this, if for some reason they were to move on from Malik Monk, and I hope they don't, but if they did, would you consider Jordan Clarkson then as an energy six-man coming off the bench?
In that situation, yes. I'm still trying to figure that's the thing playing, and I'm just going to assume the fit would work, because that's the thing. You lose Malik Monk. Well, what are you losing him for? Right? That's a big part of it. But yeah, you lose Malik Monk. That's my fear with losing Malik Monk.
Exactly.
Creating another issue. I understand that the Kings, and we look at the Kings priority list, and when we hit the 12 o'clock hour, the top of the hour, Kevin Pelton breaks down how the Kings can nail their offseason. So we have that for you. But if you look at their priority list, I don't want to just be plugging different holes on a sinking boat, where now you've moved on from Malik Monk.
Yeah.
And now your defense is better, but your spacing is awful. This is the Kuminga thing. Your spacing is awful. You can't shoot.
You lost energy.
So it's really about the priority list. I like Jordan Clarkson, and I would take him as a buyout. And obviously now he's going to control his own destiny, but there are certain things that are going to be higher on the list for me. And as the clock ticks, we await when the Kings decide to make a move as far as the point guard position is concerned. 12 o'clock hour coming up next. As discussed, Kevin Pelton, ESPN, brings up and breaks down how the Kings can nail their offseason. Allen Stiles, Sacramento Sports.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Do your summer plans include travel? Make sure your prep includes more than just flights and hotels. Stay up to date with COVID-19 vaccination, especially if you're 65 or older or have certain health conditions. There have been surges in COVID-19 in the summer, too. It's important to help protect yourself no matter your destination. So check eligibility and schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit info kit. 800-329-2121. That's 800-329-2121.
Hello, Sacramento. I'm Emran Pilati, owner of True Sports Cards and Collectible Store here in Rockland, California, and the host of the True Sports Cards Show that airs right here on Sacktown Sports 1140 every Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m., where we discuss the latest trends, hottest products, and deliver exclusive interviews with other industry leaders. And don't forget to visit our shop, True Sports Cards, at 6661 Stanford Ranch Road in Rockland and see what we have for all your sports card and memorabilia needs.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave. I got to tell you, I am so excited to get this decking project started with Trex Decking and Railings. From the first time I stepped foot in the showroom last week, I was so impressed. So many color options, heat-resistant composite deck. What does that mean? That means I don't have to do any maintenance on it whatsoever. They even have a deck designer, so you can go online and see what your dream deck will look like on your house. Just visit Trex, that's Trex.com to get it started. Tell them Carmichael Dave sent you.
Get ready for a night out with Jordan Davis. It's Country in the Park 2, Saturday, September 13th at Cal Expo. Along with the special guests, Mitchell Tenpenny, Locash, Vincent Mason, and Abriana. Make it a family day out with food trucks, games, dancing, and more. Saturday, September 13th at Cal Expo with Hoplet Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center. Tickets and info at CITPFest.com.
Since 1776, July 4th has been celebrated as the birth of American independence, but has been a federal holiday only since 1941. Hi, this is Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. It was a mere 7 years later when the Keys family opened their first Naturewood store in Sacramento, and I guess Northern Californians have been celebrating ever since. We celebrate an incredible selection of furniture brands made right here in America. We celebrate the kind of generous hometown hospitality that was important to Walter Keys in 1948 and continues with the Keys family and the Naturewood Home Furnishing staff today. And we celebrate the kind of quality that's been synonymous with Naturewood for all these 77 years. Look for made-in-America brands like Stickley, Bassett, Stanton, Trailway, Simply Amish, and more during the Naturewood 4th of July sales event. Find the furniture that you will celebrate for years to come. Naturewood Home Furnishings off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for the water wheel.
Hot summer savings explode at Maida's Elk Grove Chevy. Save $12,000 off MSRP after rebates. Every new 2025 Silverado half-ton LT and RST in stock. Maida Chevy has similar savings on every new Silverado. One of the largest selections in the Sacramento area. $12,000 off new Silverado exclusively at the Maida Chevy Silverado Supercenter. Now that's big, huge. See them all at MaidaChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Just rating 2011 renewed. Not available with special financing, lease, and some other offers.
KHD1 Sacramento. KYMX HD3 Sacramento.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios, Sacktown Sports 1140. Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
Taking you up to 2 p.m. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports. 4 minutes ago, Anthony Slater dropped a heater on The Athletic about Jonathan Kuminga. Obviously, I haven't got a chance to read it yet, but I will be sure to sift through these next couple breaks and find anything Kings related. Let's see if he has anything to say about Jonathan Kuminga and his connection to the Kings, whether I think the fit makes sense or not. Now, one last note on that. Jonathan Kuminga swapped that out for DeMar DeRozan. I still think, okay, now we're who's the closer going to be? And we can have that conversation, and spacing would still be a conversation. But yeah, we could do that. Now, literally, the Kings can't do that because of different kind of rules and the structures of the sign and trade situation. But that, to me, is completely different than for Malik Monk. Unless they are, obviously, we were operating under the thought that DeMar DeRozan stays, Zach LaVine would have to say for some type of shooting, Zach LaVine stays, and you add Jonathan Kuminga. But if you bring in Jonathan Kuminga and you move on from DeMar DeRozan for somebody else, a Cam Johnson or somebody that made sense, then we can have that conversation. I'm just not sure. Malik Monk gone, Kuminga in. You still need a point guard to start. It would just be a bit of a mess. As we break down the Kings and how they can nail their offseason, this is what Kevin Pelton had to say as far as the Kings. NBA free agency, how all 30 teams can ace their offseason. This is from ESPN, and Kevin Pelton had these notes on the Kings. How they ace their offseason. For all the focus on the Kings' lack of a true point guard, they were 12th in offensive rating after the All-Star break. A 2022nd ranked defense caused Sacramento to fall short of its second playoff spot in the past 3 seasons. With below-average defenders as their leading scorers, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, and Domantas Sabonis, the Kings need to support them with as many quality defenders as possible. Ideally, they would add another player with forward size for when Keegan Murray is deployed defensively on the perimeter. One move they should make: a deal built around sending DeRozan to Dallas for PJ Washington and draft picks. The Mavericks need to take back less salary than they send out. That complicates the parameters, but Dallas could include Klay Thompson or Najee Marshall and Dwight Powell to make a deal work. I love this based on what Yossi was saying earlier, and even last week with Sam Quinn at CBS Sports. Go check that out on YouTube and the Sacktown Sports app as well if you missed it. Dallas ain't giving that's not happening. That's not happening.
No, I'm not a fan of the report's cool, but the person that wrote it is always someone that isn't in the greatest favor of the Kings, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, is Dallas going to do that? That's my question.
Yeah, the PJ Washington piece, it's interesting. The PJ Washington piece, and you're losing PJ Washington, a guy that's going to get squeezed out because of Cooper Flagg, and he's on an expiring contract.
Yeah.
So DeMar DeRozan for PJ Washington, I think is pretty. I don't have a problem with that, right? I think PJ would extend with the Kings. I like that, but the money, the Dallas, and that's what Kevin was saying. Dallas has to add more money to that because of their current spot. Klay Thompson, look, man, the Kings passed on Klay all these years later. He comes back. He comes back home to Northern California. Now, if you're the Mavericks, you may believe that that's a little much. And now you're Klay. He started for the Mavericks, and I think you'd be having a real conversation. And maybe this is a conversation where it's Klay is probably willing to come off the bench for the Mavericks, and he's probably willing to come off the bench for certain teams. I don't know if Klay would be willing to come off the bench for the Kings.
No, and here's what like I said, the person that wrote the article, Kevin Pelton, here's what I got to say about him.
Because I'm a shoo-in for Hate of the Year.
He always, in my opinion, feels like he's hating on the Kings some way, somehow, from everything that I've personally seen. And it's like, okay, I just wrote this article just to write it because I had to write some of all 30 teams in the NBA, but he's one of them. He's one of them ones, in my opinion, that doesn't put the Kings in a favorable boat. And he put this out here, but he's looking for something. Even with this move that he thinks they should make, I got the sense of reading when I read this weekend that he said to make this move and it still benefits Dallas more than it benefits the Kings.
Yeah.
Whatever that may be.
Yeah. I'm just going to take it. I'm just going to take it on its face because I do think that this move makes sense. I think the issue is making sure, because right now, just in, like I said, and Fanspo isn't perfect, but right now in Fanspo, DeMar DeRozan for Klay Thompson and PJ Washington, that does work. You got one guy who's 35 in Klay Thompson. He's got 2 years left on his deal. You got one guy in PJ Washington who is an expiring contract. Maybe it is something that the Mavericks would do. Just feels as if the Maverick, and then, like I said, Klay Thompson's coming off the bench in Sacramento. Maybe this is something that, and DeMar DeRozan probably coming off the bench in Dallas.
I mean, the only benefit I would see to this deal, if the Kings did it, you could actually slide Keegan back to the 3.
Right.
Because PJ would be your established forward.
And that is what kind of Kevin is breaking down. DeMar, you can't, and this is what we discussed before. We're talking about Malik Monk, but also, Domantas Sabonis, not a scary force in the paint defensively. So DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Domantas Sabonis, it just doesn't work. Does not work, right? Does not work defensively, or it has not worked. And they might need a point guard as far as operating the offense, but almost more importantly, if you're going to keep those 3 guys, let's say, Malik, whether Malik stays or goes, if you're going to keep DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, and Domantas Sabonis in that starting lineup, you need some type of help outside of Keegan Murray. Or we're going to stop talking about Keegan Murray as far as, taking a leap or whatever it is, because he's just going to be a 3-and-D guy. He's just a 3-and-D guy because y'all refuse to give him the help that even De'Aaron said they should look towards, and Keegan's got to just run around on defense all day long. He's Herb Jones.
And there may not be anything wrong with that at the end of the day. I mean, again, as we've been talking about for the past half hour, give or take, there's a lot of dudes that have made careers on being 3-and-D players in this modern day NBA.
I'm just saying, you Herb Jones. Herb Jones making 13. So you can't be Herb Jones making 24.
True.
That's all I'm saying. And Herb, I can't even, he starts, comes off the bench for the Pelicans are a mess.
They're a mess.
If Keegan is a slightly better Herb Jones, that's on the Kings.
And Herb Jones get well soon, sir.
Yes, we need to have him back. That's how the wing market is crazy. Teams still looking for Herb Jones right now, and that price tag isn't really dipping. So
no,
I like the idea of it. What does Dallas want? Would Klay be happy in Sacramento? Look, Klay, there's plenty of river. Every time I drive home, okay, I pass Garden Highway, whatever it is, Discovery Park. They got the water, river. Klay, you got your boat.
You got two rivers that meet right up at Discovery Park, Klay.
American River.
Sacramento River.
What's up, Klay? So Klay could be convinced. I don't mind the idea at all. And Kevin also brings up Najee Marshall, who again we talked about. Kings might even say we want Najee instead of Klay, and which is a crazy statement.
It would be crazy, but I agree with it, because if you said Klay's under contract for 2 years at 35, and you move on from Debo, who technically after this season has an option in his contract. Debo turns 36 in less than a month and a half. So you're basically getting the same age player for an extra year. Yeah. And if you're depending on the archetype of the team and what Scott Perry's trying to build, are you trying to do that with Klay Thompson?
916-339-1140. 916 says, getting back to the Kuminga conversation, why would you even trade for Jonathan Kuminga when Malik Monk has better numbers than he does? Are we trying to go backwards and pay somebody more money? I mean, this is an upside play. Malik Monk is 26, 27. I feel as if we know what Malik Monk is. I'm not saying we know for sure, On top of that, yeah, I got to go there, even though I don't want to go there. Last 2 postseasons, it's not his fault, but Malik Monk hasn't been available in the last 2 important games. Last 3 most important games of the season? Not his fault.
No.
But you're 27. It is bad luck, but we are kind of tiptoeing around the injury issues. We're tiptoeing. I'm not saying the IP. I'm not saying injury prone yet, but we're tiptoeing.
And
we're
I'm not
tiptoeing.
And not this playing game, but the previous season. Blame Luka.
I agree. Luka flopped on his legs, and here we are. The Kuminga conversation for me has never been about right now. Brandon Nunes has tried to convince me, and we were just talking here at the round table every Thursday. Brandon has done a good job of convincing me that it can work right now. But to the 916's point, yes, Malik Monk has been more productive. This is more of a play for the future. We are locking down an elite talent at 22 years old. We are essentially I look at Keegan Murray and Jonathan Kuminga. If they move in this direction, that's the future. Keegan Murray, Jonathan Kuminga. If you're able to hold on to Keon Ellis now, you got Neek Clifford as well, and you rock and roll from there. See what else you can do. I look at it, thunder and lightning, a running back tandem. You have Sonic and Knuckles, right? You got Jonathan Kuminga, who's going to get to the basket, physical, freak athlete, can play above the rim, can still get after you defensively. And then you got Keegan Murray, again, also can get after you defensively, but Keegan is going to spread the floor. He's going to take as many threes as he wants and be that perimeter presence.
And can still get to the basket if he needs to as well.
That's what I'm looking at as far as bringing on Jonathan Kuminga. I don't know what the hell it looks like on this current team, but I would argue if you could do it for Malik Monk and I don't know what else the Warriors would want, then I don't care what it looks like right now. Because right now, and I know, Ramsey, you're a proud member of the Run It Back squad. Right now, the Run It Back squad, to me, you run it back and you're still fighting for the 6, and you're fighting for the 6 and to get hot, which you very well may do. Yeah. But if you can get Jonathan Kuminga, and if you believe in them, because some people don't believe in Jonathan Kuminga.
And I'm one that doesn't.
But if the Kings do and they say, hey, we can get a somewhat of a distressed asset at $22 million a year, because I think that sounds right, Jonathan Kuminga. You should make a smidge less than Jabari Smith Jr. And the Kuminga situation is you make a smidge less than Jabari Smith Jr. and Keegan Murray, and you show us for your next contract why you are worth a max deal. That's where Kuminga, whether he thinks he's there or not, you got to wake up, brother. You're not getting $30 million. So you come here and we give you the keys. That's my issue with the conversation, because whose keys are you giving him with Domantas Sabonis? And in this situation, possibly still DeMar DeRozan. And, oh, by the way,
Zach LaVine.
$50 million man, Zach LaVine, on the team. So I like bringing on Jonathan Kuminga. I just don't want him to come out here and just be annoyed again, annoyed but in purple instead of annoyed in blue and gold, because he's not going to have anybody's keys out here.
I'll just say Northern California may not be for Jonathan Kuminga, regardless of the situation, because as what you're describing, he's not starting. He's coming off the bench like he has been doing in San Francisco.
That man ain't coming off nobody's bench next game, which might just mean he's not going to be a King. The reason we're bringing it up is because of the rumors. But somebody trying to compare Jonathan Kuminga to Malik Monk, I think the comparison is right now to the future, because you would be betting on Kuminga's future versus Malik Monk right now. And I think that as far as Malik Monk is concerned, it would be nice to be able to I'm not saying not to do it, because obviously teams are interested and they don't care that Malik hasn't been available during these last couple playing games, and neither was Jake LaRavia this past go-round, by the way. But there are teams that are interested in both of them for two different reasons, which tells us that if you can either keep Monk or move on with Jonathan Kuminga, that keeping your same roster, if you're going with the latter, doesn't make a ton of sense.
It doesn't, because where does Jonathan Kuminga fit in the Sacramento Kings roster at the moment?
And the name we kept hearing, it doesn't matter because it's not a starter, right? Unless, like I said, Malik Monk, that's the name that keeps getting brought up because the DeMar DeRozan, that due to sign and trade rules and where the Warriors are at with the cap, they from what I've read, they couldn't sign and trade with DeMar DeRozan even if they wanted to. So that's why we're all talking about, now look, and I would assume it's probably similar with Zach LaVine just based on money. So that's why Malik Monk keeps coming up. I can see why the Warriors would want Malik Monk, but the other question is, if you're bringing on Jonathan Kuminga, are you making a separate, the only other conversation is, are you making a separate move with, probably not Zach LaVine, but with DeMar DeRozan to where, okay, wow, they got rid of DeMar and Malik, but the roster makes a lot more sense now because just adding adding DeMar DeRozan and losing Malik Monk and probably another bench piece doesn't make sense to me as the team is presently constructed.
It doesn't make sense. And if you were to if that move was to be made, in my opinion, you'd be losing almost the entire heart and soul of your team by actually moving on for both of them. I think you'd be gutting a lot of intangibles.
In two separate deals.
Yeah, a lot of intangibles you'd be gutting. Now, I'm not talking about anything just black and white on the court. You're gutting a lot of intangibles, and that hurts teams. I mean, we could see, especially, you can go back and just trace things down the line. I mean, not saying it didn't hurt Boston because they won a championship without him, but they lost the heart and soul of their team when they moved Marcus Smart. Or I'm not even going to speak basketball. I'll go to hockey real quick because it refers to winning a championship. Brad Marchand was the heart and soul of the Boston Bruins. They moved him to Florida, and he took that heart and soul and his presence, his intangibles, and aided the Florida Panthers in their second Stanley Cup run this spring. No. It's not always about black and white and numbers and what people do on the court. You got to make sure that you don't lose the heart and soul of the team as well.
And yeah, and I'm just thinking in my mind, if you did those two deals, right? If you went out, got Jonathan Kuminga, and then flipped, and this would be crazy, right? This would be a lot to do in one offseason. But bringing up the Kevin Pelton article that we just read through, much to Ramsey's chagrin, if you did the Malik Monk Kuminga deal, then you flip DeMar DeRozan for PJ Washington and Najee Marshall or Klay Thompson, right? But PJ is going to be your starter. So that, to me, that roster makes more sense. But at what cost, Thanos? Did it cost too much from that end? And now, okay, well, now this is kind of going to take a year to kind of find our identity. I would assume
exactly.
PJ extends whatever it is. Is it worth it? Depends on who you ask. Me personally, if you're running out, let's say Schroder, Kuminga, Keegan, PJ Washington, and Sabonis, right? And then you have Klay or Najee off the bench. I mean, I'm interested. I think it makes sense. I didn't even say Zach LaVine. So that's the other thing. Somebody else got to come off the bench.
Yeah.
Somebody still got to come off the bench. But I'll tell you what, that roster makes more sense.
Basketball wise, it makes sense. But like I said, getting back to the intangibles part, does it make sense? Who's the one that, or is a lot? Who's the one that moves it? Who's the straw that stirs the drink? Who's the one that gets that team going? Who's the one that provides that energy? That's why I said X's and O's aren't everything. You need some type of energy.
Well, Ramsey, the only thing, what's tough about this is that it's tough to have an intangible conversation with the team that didn't make the playoffs.
I understand.
So I'm not, and it's not necessarily an untouchable conversation because I know what you mean, right? But as far as we're losing our heart and soul, I guess the question becomes, I mean, DeMar only been there 1 year, right? This team has changed so much. I'd probably be willing to take the chance, but you would eventually need somebody like that. Could it be Keegan? Look, before somebody shakes their head and says Keegan doesn't talk that much, do not sleep on the things that we've heard and shared on this show about Keegan Murray as a leader. We've heard a lot, right? Going back to last season even. So I wouldn't sleep on that at all. Do you have a rah-rah guy on that squad? No, you don't. But makes more sense. Team makes more sense. Could that be Kuminga? So interesting stuff as we are continuing to see some moves being made across the NBA, and obviously there are much more to come. I don't want to say most notably, but one of the notable names, Jordan Clarkson. So we have DeAndre Ayton, buyout category. Jordan Clarkson, the buyout category. Feels like a pretty healthy normally, like back in our day, buyouts were Joe Johnson, no disrespect, but a Joe Johnson at 34, whatever it is.
And buyouts were done a majority of them were done during the middle of the season, not at the start of free agency.
Yeah, I'm just checking here since I said 34. Jordan Clarkson is 33. So he is more traditional to me than DeAndre Ayton.
Yes.
DeAndre Ayton, obviously something was going on, and the Blazers, it felt like the Blazers were drafting centers like Monty McNair was drafting undersized guards. And if you're DeAndre Ayton, it's okay. My timeline was already kind of off. Now you're essentially just telling me I want out.
And you can see, everybody could see the writing on the wall important once they got Jan Hansen Yang, however you just pronounce
Hansen
the man.
Yang.
Yeah, however you pronounce the man's name. When they drafted him, you knew DeAndre Ayton was gone.
Yeah,
you could see that writing on the wall last Thursday when it occurred.
Yeah, Yang Hansen, and I mean, have you watched any of those highlights real quick?
I've seen bits and pieces. I haven't watched a full mixtape. Highlight tape is what people want to call, but I heard he was dominating in the CBA.
Yeah, I definitely watched some highlights just because that's how I get down and I enjoy doing it. But yeah, the Blazers, what are you doing, man? Dwayne Baker on the Sack Chat says Shea isn't a rah-rah guy. I'm just now thinking of the Thunder in general. And look, you don't need rah-rah if your team is just ridiculous. Let's be clear on that. I don't know that the Thunder needed one, but I will say this.
Shea isn't a rah-rah dude, but he brings his personality to that team and infects his personality.
I think Jalen Williams, it could probably fits that mold just from what I've seen throughout the playoffs. Jalen Williams fits that mold. They almost are rah-rah based on their play with the Alex Caruso. I don't know that Alex Caruso is a rah-rah guy.
Their rah-rah guy, honestly, is Arkansas Jalen Williams that they just re-signed.
Yeah, right. This is the vibes dude.
He brings him and his high school teammate Isaiah Joe are the one to bring the vibes for that team.
Yeah, that's a good call though as far as the kind of starters are concerned. I like PJ Washington a lot. Right. I really do. I like PJ Washington, and obviously I've seen him cook the Kings. That's part of it.
Trust me, we both been there. I've seen it with my own eyes at Golden One Center.
I like that. I would obviously take a Najee Marshall. We had that conversation before about Najee Marshall. I would take Klay Thompson in a deal. I don't believe, based on what we're hearing, I don't know that DeMar DeRozan is enough for the Mavericks. And then I think the Mavericks would be a great spot for DeMar to come off the bench and bring that punch. But,
are we sure, or if he went to Dallas, are we sure he's coming off the bench?
Yeah, Cooper.
But Cooper probably played a 3 of the 4.
Cooper, whoever they bring in, it sounds like they might go with D'Angelo Russell, Cooper, Kyrie, whatever, point guard. And then you got AD. Okay. And yeah, Klay started basically the whole season. So maybe
They would probably start DeRozan if they had him. They probably start him at the quote unquote shooting guard position.
Yeah, look, I'm in, man. I'm in. But look, anything besides Yossi Gosling saying Terry Rozier in 2 seconds, because just keep DeRozan.
No scary Terry.
No.
And he's got issues off the court that may prevent him from even playing, but I'm not even going there right now.
When we return, I'm going to get a little bit crazy here. And as everybody is worried about Keon Ellis, there is a name on the roster that might make Keon expendable. Who is it? You're not going to believe what's about to come out of my mouth in about 3 minutes. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by the Roseville Auto Mall.
I'm Tamara Berg in the KCRA 3 Weather Center for your Monday, looking at mostly sunny skies. Quite a warm day today as temperatures soar to the mid-90s, expecting overnight lows in the upper 50s to low 60s. You can get the latest forecast on the KCRA 3 News and the KCRA 3 app.
The Roseville Auto Mall is Northern California's ultimate destination when looking for your next vehicle. Find the largest selection with 20 top brands. Find spectacular deals during our big 4th of July sales event going on now at the Roseville Auto Mall. Driven to be the best.
Carmichael Dave here for my friends at American Energy Heating and Air. Yes, I always tell you they are a family-owned operation, been in business since 81, A-plus Better Business Bureau, but it is hot. We are in those Sacramento hot months. I want to focus on them being your second opinion partner. What does that mean? Maybe you've got somebody you're working with or you've worked with in the past in the HVAC world. Guess what? They want to give you a second opinion. How much does it cost? Nothing. You call them up and say, hey, can I get a second opinion on this deal? They come out and they either say, wow, that's a great deal, you should feel better about that. Or they say, we can beat that price. And usually they're going to beat it by a lot. Guess what? You just saved money and it didn't cost you anything to find out. It's a no-lose situation. Go with a trusted company. American Energy, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com. Jingle Singers, take it away.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Join the Sacramento River Cats for Star Wars Night on Saturday, July 19th. Come dressed as your favorite character and be part of a galactic celebration filled with themed activities, giveaways, and River Cats baseball. Whether you're Jedi or Sith, this night is one for the whole family. It's the perfect way to combine your love of summertime baseball and Star Wars action. Sacramento River Cats Star Wars Night tickets on July 19th are now available at rivercats.com.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more. And then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
This July 3rd, get ready to ignite your summer at the Rumstrom Firecracker 90 at the legendary Stockton 99 Speedway with late models, mini stocks, pure stocks, legends, and mini mods. All outdoor, plus a massive fireworks show that'll light up the night. Get your tickets now at Stockton99.com. July 3rd. Be there.
Celebrate the 4th with freedom from high prices. The 4th of July savings sale is happening now at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Fire up your summer with 4th of July savings on a new Civic or Accord. Own or lease today at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our #1 priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too.
Folsom Lake Honda.
Go to FolsomLakeHonda.com.
Your one-stop Honda shop.
At Kids Care Dental and Orthodontics, we're all about providing summer smiles. During June, we're offering a Summer Smiles special, $149 off braces, or $250 off Invisalign, and a chance to win Legoland tickets. Go to kidscaredental.com for more information.
If you love to drive or even not so much, take your car to the place with the magic touch, Big O.
Big O Tires. Trust the team with expertise that goes beyond just tires and visit your locally owned Big O Tires. Now through July 13th, get a $59.99 full-service synthetic blend oil change, including tire rotation, fluid top-off, and more. Big O Tires, the team you trust. Up to 5 quarts of oil. Additional charge for diesel engines, high performance, and exotic vehicles. Disposal and recycling fees extra where permitted. Most vehicles, no cash value. Eligibility may vary. Not valid with other offers. Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140.
on Sacktown Sports.
A lot coming up. 1 o'clock. I did get a chance to look over the Anthony Slater article and what exactly we are looking for as far as the Kings are concerned. We have what I'm about to say that I don't believe I'm about to say in about 2 minutes here, but I did want to give everybody an update. Dennis Schroder update, newest from Mark Stein 5 minutes ago. Okay. New article dropped. Back to Schroder. The 31-year-old, as we've reported for several days now, is expected to come to a swift agreement with Sacramento once free agency officially begins. The Kings are believed to be preparing a 2-year deal for Schroder at an estimated $28 million. So the mid-level exception of 14.5, multiple teams will have use of exceptions, such as the mid-level exception of 14.5 per season. That is where we are at. Okay. And this is, I'm reading our roundtable chat right now. Brendan Nunez, Frank Cardicelli, Chris Watkins, our insiders and editors. Frankie says, so they'll have the biannual 5.1 left. So, and then Brendan says, yeah, about 2 years, 10 million. So they signed Schroder. They'll have 2 years, 10 million, small deal to offer to someone or use however they see fit. So seems like as soon as this thing kicks off, Dennis Schroder is going to be a Sacramento King. That is according to Mark Stein. And I guess I'll save the how you feeling about it until it actually happens. So we will keep you updated on that. And as we have that conversation, the other part of this, and what I never thought that I would say, and I'm being a little tongue-in-cheek here, is Keon Ellis might be out, right? Still got to see if the Kings are able to extend him or not, if he will get to unrestricted free agency, and we go from there. But there's already another guard on the roster, a guard that I have been accused of hating on, a guard that I'm not completely sure if he is the point guard of the future, but I know he's athletic. I know he does fit the mold of the modern NBA, and I know he can defend his you-know-what off.
God blessing me with his body.
And the question becomes, Devin Carter, what exactly can you bring to the table? And is there a world where Devin Carter makes us forget about Keon Ellis? Is there a world? Is there a world where Devin Carter, who didn't even get to play a full season, let's explore that, because I haven't done that before. And that's why y'all be roasting me about Devin Carter. But let's explore that. What if Devin Carter, who Kevin O'Connor said he would not include in a trade for Cam Johnson, Devin Carter, universally seen as the steal of the 2024 draft. Could he be another diamond in the rough that the Kings have? And that was part of the thought process where you say, hey, well, we want to keep flexibility. We're going to see what happens with Keon after, throughout this season. We also got Devin Carter available. And we're going to see more of Devin Carter than we have so far. Carmichael Dave this morning, 8:41 a.m. Sources, Devin Carter will play in the Las Vegas Summer League starting a week from this Thursday. Gives Carter some much-needed run. Also makes things even more interesting with Nick Clifford and Maxime Reynaud also on the roster. There you have it. So we are going to see Devin Carter in Summer League Vegas, where we hope he looks like he shouldn't be there. That's what we hope. These older guys and I would say Nick Clifford to it, all of them, all three of them, Nick Clifford as well. These older guys, where will they stand once Vegas gets going, Summer League gets going? But we saw flashes from Devin Carter. And we saw him put up, 15, whatever it was, out there in Boston. And probably one of the best games of the season. That was when the hopium was hitting just right out there. And because De'Aaron didn't play in that game. De'Aaron didn't play in that game out there in Boston. And they whooped on Boston. They whooped them good. We've seen flashes from Devin Carter. He's got all the confidence in the world. And is there a world where if you lose, or maybe it's not if you lose Keon, but could you see enough from Devin Carter? Not that you want to lose Keon either way, but you see enough from Devin Carter where you say, okay, Ramsey just brought up a Johnny Juzang, 6'7" wing, guys like that are floating around. And obviously we know what Keon does defensively, but there are just a lot of options. Devin Carter could be one of those options. He's got the crazy wingspan, crazy athleticism, can go get it defensively as well. Is there a world where, hey, we like Keon, but we just saw a crazy season from Devin Carter? Offensively, we think he brings a bit more. I think he needs a lot of work on his layup package personally, but maybe he takes that step. I'm not going to say leap, but takes that step. He's getting to the basket. Things are starting to make more sense. Things are slowing down for him because he's playing consistently. And as the season goes, you say, you know what? I like Keon, but I like what I see from Devin. And if somebody wants to cash out Keon, that's good and well. And God bless you, Keon. But Devin Carter is doing some things, and we like that.
And ironically enough, speaking of Devin Carter, his three best games were against what we consider three of the top teams in the NBA last year. Mm-hmm. That the Boston game you spoke to, I was at both Warriors games, but I was at the Warriors game in January where they ran him off the floor by 30, mm-hmm. where basically he was a player of the game, and that's where he scored his first NBA point as well.
Right.
He had 13 points in that game, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. And the other game where he established himself in a game that most people in Sacramento didn't see coming, and they caught him on a good time, was when they beat Cleveland here.
Yeah.
When he had his career high at the moment, 16 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. So Devin Carter is ready for the moment. Mm-hmm. He's ready to show up against these teams. He just needs more of that, as what you're speaking to. He just needs that opportunity to do that.
The other part of it that remains to be seen is, I will say this, and this was a positive Devin Carter segment. Do not get me wrong. If he gets dinged up again early on, Ramsey, I'll be pretty worried, man. I'll be pretty worried. We got it. We need you. We got to see a couple months here, brother.
Best availability is availability. Health is wealth.
We got to see a couple months more than that consistently, because it's starting. If it happened again, like, number one, get through summer. Can you get through summer? And look, I know it's not anybody's fault. I'm not saying it is, but it's just a reality. You're in sales. The market stinks. You don't hit your numbers. I know it's not your fault, but we're not making money.
Exactly.
So I got to look around and see who else. Camilo Doval, right? How many times has he kind of lost a closer role? Look, I know you're not trying to throw balls. I know you're not trying to walk people and give up dingers, But what are we going to do? We got to win games.
Or I'll go baseball A's wise. Luis Severino, we understand you pitch well other than yesterday on the road.
Mm-hmm.
But you've made excuses before about Sutter Health Park and how you can't pitch there.
Yeah.
Numbers, I got to figure something out here, sir. What are we doing?
Yeah. What are we doing? So, Devin Carter, let's see some consistency. Let's see a step. And maybe there is a world where we're saying, okay, because that was always my issue with the pick. It was just the redundancy, right? So let's flip that redundancy now. And you say, okay, Keon maybe gets priced out, whatever the case may be. But now we're in a good spot because Devin Carter seems to have taken a step forward. Speaking of the future, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about the past. And we're bringing up jersey numbers once again. Too soon? We'll tell you who it is and what he's wearing when we return. Allen Stiles, Sacramento Sports.
With 25 award-winning years in Northern California, Ashton & Price is your local injury law firm. Pro attorney tip, if a firm presents it's local, but they're in LA, red flag. If your first consultation is not with a lawyer, big red flag. At Ashton & Price, your first consult is with a local attorney, and if serious injury prevents travel, a lawyer will come to you. Still not enough? George Washington's my uncle. At Ashton & Price, no red flags, just red, white, and blue.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton & Price.
Hot summer savings explode at Maida's Elk Grove Chevy. Save $12,000 off MSRP after rebates. Every new 2025 Silverado half-ton LT and RST in stock. Maida Chevy has similar savings on every new Silverado. One of the largest selections in the Sacramento area. $12,000 off new Silverado exclusively at the Maida Chevy Silverado Supercenter. Now that's big, huge. See them all at MaidaChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Less rating 2011 renewed. Not available with special financing, lease, and some other offers.
Finally, an easy way to find home improvement contractors. Just visit subcontractorsunited.com and simplify your search for home services professionals. From cabinets to windows, roofing to plumbing, Subcontractors United is an easy, simple way to find and hire a home improvement contractor. And you never have to give up personal information. So no harassing phone calls like you get from those other websites. Subcontractorsunited.com is sponsored by D&D Cabinets and Savage Design.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave. I got to tell you, I am so excited to get this decking project started with Trex Decking and Railings. From the first time I stepped foot in the showroom last week, I was so impressed. So many color options, heat-resistant composite deck. What does that mean? That means I don't have to do any maintenance on it whatsoever. They even have a deck designer, so you can go online and see what your dream deck will look like on your house. Just visit Trex, that's Trex.com to get it started. Tell them Carmichael Dave sent you.
Since 1776, July 4th has been celebrated as the birth of American independence, but has been a federal holiday only since 1941. Hi, this is Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. It was a mere 7 years later when the Keys family opened their first Naturewood store in Sacramento, and I guess Northern Californians have been celebrating ever since. We celebrate an incredible selection of furniture brands made right here in America. We celebrate the kind of generous hometown hospitality that was important to Walter Keys in 1948 and continues with the Keys family and the Naturewood Home Furnishing staff today. And we celebrate the kind of quality that's been synonymous with Naturewood for all these 77 years. Look for made-in-America brands like Stickley, Bassett, Stanton, Trailway, Simply Amish, and more during the Naturewood 4th of July sales event. Find the furniture that you will celebrate for years to come. Naturewood Home Furnishings off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for the water wheel.
The 4th of July, it's all about family, fireworks, and freedom. And this 4th of July, Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is offering your family the freedom to choose America's brand at the guaranteed lowest price in town. This 4th of July, the fireworks are starting early at Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. You can check out one of Northern California's largest selections for yourself at sacssuperstore.com, where you'll find the lowest prices on the new Ram, Wrangler, Grand Cherokee, the whole lineup. Centrally located across from Hagen Oaks Golf Course, and visit them online to see their full selection and their guaranteed lowest prices at sacssuperstore.com.
The only station in Sacramento giving you local sports coverage from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Sacktown Sports.
People chiming in on the Devin Carter conversation. Also, 1 o'clock, we have a Jonathan Kuminga update and a Dennis Schroder update. Dennis Schroder, we got this Mark Stein note, and Mark Stein, this is actually pretty interesting stuff. So Mark Stein is reporting Dennis Schroder, the Kings are believed to be preparing a 2-year deal for Dennis Schroder at an estimated $28 million. That would be the MLE, so they would still have about $5 million a year to play with if they wanted to offer, or use 2 years, $10 million somewhere else. But where this gets pretty interesting is he also says rival teams are increasingly projecting Memphis to secure a free agent commitment from Ty Jerome in the annual range of $9 to $10 million. League sources tell Jake Fisher and me. Dennis Schroder better than, and I'm still kind of hybrid talking to the roundtable as well. Frankie Cardicelli just sent this in to me. But yeah, Dennis Schroder making more than Ty Jerome. Now, I get scared. And my initial thought, and I haven't even obviously responded to Frankie because he just sent it. My initial thought would be a body of work over a 1-year sample size. This to me makes sense to me because I was basically, this tells me that NBA teams are kind of hip to, hey, we can't cash you out because you had one hot season, right? Ty Jerome bounced around. He was on the Warriors at one point. He barely was playing 10 minutes a game. He was almost a two-way guy, fourth, fifth team, whatever it is. And then he just, look, I'm telling you this, Ramsey, and I got to be very careful here. But there's a lot of reasons you could have a good season. Now, I don't know anything about Ty Jerome's personal life, but maybe he enjoyed Cleveland a good bit. Maybe there were some meals being cooked for Ty Jerome that had him right. Maybe it was the weather. I don't know, but I can't give you $15 million a year because you had one good season.
I mean, I still remember Ty Jerome going back to the days when he was playing in Virginia with a former King and Kyle guy. That's how far I go back when they made their national championship run. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I don't know. Is 1 year what you're going to be in your NBA career moving forward?
Yeah.
Or was it just that contract year you're playing because you knew it's your turn, as you always say at the end of the show, to secure the bag?
Right. As we mentioned, he was making less than $3 million last season. So top 3 most valuable contracts in the league last season. 10 million for 2-3 years, whatever it is. That's a team saying, I like what you did, but I haven't seen you do it for 3-4 years in a row. Dennis Schroder, probably, I could say off the top of my head, probably, and don't sleep on, he was balling with the Nets, right?
He was, and I mean, he unfortunately took the bet on himself and let a bag go, but that's neither here nor there now.
And now he goes to the Warriors. It didn't work out, and he played pretty darn well on the Pistons, and of course they went to the playoffs. Here you go, just a little side-by-side comparison. Dennis Schroder played 75 games on, 3 different teams? 75 games. Yeah, 3 different teams. He averaged 13.1 points per game, 2.6 rebounds per game, 5.4 assists per game, 40% from the field, 34% from 3, 83% from the free throw line. Okay. Ty Jerome this past season, 70 games, 12.5 points per game, 2.5 rebounds per game, 3.4 assists per game, 51% from the field, 43.9% from 3, 87% from the field. He played 19.9 minutes per game this past season with the Cavs. Dennis Schroder, in his combination of 3 teams, he played, what is this? Per game, he played
a combination of 28.1 minutes per game for all 3 teams. And at the end of the year with Detroit, he was coming off the bench.
Right. 28 minutes per game to Ty Jerome's 19. And Dennis Schroder, younger or older, but he's been doing it for longer. Ty Jerome, 27 years old. Dennis Schroder, 33. Yeah, Frankie, if you're only 31, excuse me. He'll turn 32 in September. So yeah, Frankie, to answer your text to the group chat on the air, I think that it makes sense. I think that it makes sense that Dennis Schroder is making a little bit more. Now, you could still not want Dennis Schroder on the Kings. With all that being said, or maybe you'd rather pay. It makes sense for Dennis Schroder to get paid that. Do I feel any differently now? Dennis Schroder at 15 or Dennis Schroder at 14 rather than Ty Jerome at 10? Now, that's a tough one. I thought Ty Jerome was going to get 15, maybe more than that. But I thought Ty Jerome was going to get 15, and I wasn't willing to take a bet on Ty Jerome's one good year over Dennis Schroder for 15. Ty Jerome at 10, at 27 years old, Ty Jerome at 10 a year, 9, 10 a year. That's what Mark Stein is reporting. I would have liked the Kings to be in on that.
Question I got for you. I'm going to bring this name up again because I was just looking at it. If they don't go the Schroder route and go the Westbrook route, how much would you pay him per year?
No. I mean, I'm not league. I mean, we're getting close to league minimum, right? That 10 years that what the Kings have left, that 2 years, 10 million.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And then go back out and try to find somebody else established with that mid-level.
Right. That's at which they technically they could bring in if they wanted to. Hey, we didn't have any. Now we got 2.
Exactly.
Right. But yeah, Michael is saying on the SAG chat, you're saying Dennis Schroder should get paid for being older and having worse numbers. Strong take. Well, I mean, the worst numbers, he averaged more points than Ty Jerome, and he played more minutes than Ty Jerome, and he averaged more rebounds than Ty Jerome, and he averaged more assists than Ty Jerome. So I don't know, where was Ty Jerome better? His percentages, sure. He played less minutes on the best team in the league. Ty Jerome will never be more protected than he just was. So I like Ty Jerome at 10 million though. If I knew, and look, when you have control, and these players obviously have control, maybe there wasn't a mutual interest. Maybe the Kings, maybe Scott Perry said, if he bases it on how we just saw him draft guys that have been, college guy, Unique Clifford, maybe Scott Perry, if he has that same thought process, yeah, I'm not paying Ty Jerome $10 million because he had one good year. Dennis Schroder is a little bit older. Sure, I'd rather pay him a little bit more because Dennis Schroder has been doing this for a very long time. He's only 31, but I'd rather give that money to Dennis Schroder. I'd rather give a little bit more to the Dennis Schroder. You don't have to agree with that, and no money has been handed out yet. But if you're just now joining us, that is what the report is. Real quick, and we'll spend some more time on this in the 1 o'clock hour. But Mark Haynes says sources tell the SAC Observer that rookie Unique Clifford will wear number 5 for the Sacramento Kings. Ramsey fair foul. Kings a year after De'Aaron Fox is gone, letting a rookie wear his number.
Fair. A number is a number. I mean, De'Aaron Fox is no longer with the organization. If that's the number that Unique Clifford decided to choose and agree with, so be it. We haven't got to a point where number 5 has been retired. It's not number 2. It's not number 4. It's not number 10. It's not number 16. It's not number 21. It's not number 1 or 4. It's not number 14 within this organization. And it's not even number 11, which with permission was brought out of retirement. Therefore, if that's the number that they so desired to choose and Unique Clifford agreed upon, cool. That's fine by me.
You know how I feel about this. I think the number thing is getting out of control. I think I think these kids, I think the players and these teams, the way they're going to be wearing triple digits in about 20, 30 years.
I mean, unless you case in point, look at the New York Yankees. No one wears a single digit anymore because they're all retired.
Ridiculous.
So you either got to recycle numbers or, like you said, and I've seen it before in the sport of soccer where there are players wearing triple digit numbers on jerseys.
Ridiculous.
It just looks awkward because it takes up way too much of the back with 3 numbers on your back.
So that's very fair. Let me say, fair or foul, very fair as far as I'm concerned. What were we supposed to wait a couple years? I don't really know what the argument is. Some people were upset about it, but good for Nick Clifford to just say, yeah, homie, he's in the Riverwalk now. I don't even follow him. I unfollowed him on Instagram, but I heard he's in the Riverwalk having a great time. When we return, we give you an update on 2 destinations Jonathan Kuminga is connected to. Is Sacramento still in the runnings? We'll tell you in the 1 o'clock hour. One more hour with the Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I'm Ken Korak with your Green and Gold Report, brought to you by Comcast Business, powering possibilities. Well, there's a real chance of Jacob Wilson starting the All-Star game. As of the start of the A's current trip, he had a 250,000 vote lead at shortstop. Next up, the final vote of the top 2 finishers. If he wins that, he'll become the first A's shortstop to start the game in 50 years. Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. It's how retailers become seamlessly restocking, cyber-securing must-visit shops. And it's how healthcare offices become data-managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business.
Bring the whole family to Sutter Health Park for Sacramento River Cats baseball. It's more than a game. It's an experience your kids will never forget. Enjoy exciting action on the field, delicious ballpark food, and fun activities for all ages. From meeting Dinger the mascot to running the bases every Sunday, there is something for everyone. Create lasting memories with your family this season. Get your tickets at rivercats.com.
Oh, and that's a hard foul. Let's listen for the call on the floor.
The taxpayer owes back taxes. Penalties and interest are assessed and wage garnishments to begin immediately.
The IRS never misses that call. I wonder if they will challenge it.
The call is under review.
Priority Tax Relief has been called in for a review. Priority is the best in the business at negotiating your tax debt and has even eliminated the debt for some clients. Priority Tax Relief is saving their clients millions of dollars every month.
After a careful review from Priority Tax Relief, the debt has been eliminated. No foul on the play.
Whoa! That completely changes the game, folks.
If you owe more than $5,000, call Priority Tax Relief, and in minutes they'll review your case for free with a direct line to the IRS to see if you qualify for life-changing relief. No more worrying about wage garnishments or frozen bank accounts. Call Priority Tax Relief today at 800-899-2289. That's 800-899-2289.
We make your tax relief our priority.
Call now. Priority Tax Relief.
Michael Dave here for my friends at American Energy Heating and Air. Yes, I always tell you they are a family-owned operation, been in business since 81, A-plus Better Business Bureau, but it is hot. We are in those Sacramento hot months. I want to focus on them being your second opinion partner. What does that mean? Maybe you've got somebody you're working with or you've worked with in the past in the HVAC world. Guess what? They want to give you a second opinion. How much does it cost? Nothing. You call them up and say, hey, can I get a second opinion on this deal? They come out and they either say, wow, that's a great deal. You should feel better about that. Or they say, we can beat that price. And usually they're going to beat it by a lot. Guess what? You just saved money and it didn't cost you anything to find out. It's a no-lose situation. Go with a trusted company. American Energy, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com. Jingle Singers, take it away.
Call 916-520 $99.98 now.
This summer, give your kids a reason to smile, brightly. At Kids Care Dental, we make dental visits fun with a kid-friendly team, easy to schedule appointments, and expert doctors who really care.
Whether it's a checkup, a cleaning, or their very first visit, we've got you covered. We accept most insurances, and we're always ready when your schedule gets hectic.
Smiles grow here. Book online in minutes at kidscaredental.com. That's kidscaredental.com. Kids Care Dental, where healthy teeth make happy kids.
Celebrate the 4th with freedom from high prices. The 4th of July savings sale is happening now at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
Fire up your summer with 4th of July savings on a new Civic or Accord. Own or lease today at Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop.
As a family-owned and operated dealership since 2009, customer service is our #1 priority. Our customers love doing business with us, and you will too.
Folsom Lake Honda.
Go to FolsomLakeHonda.com.
Your one-stop Honda shop.
Your local sports leader in the 916.
KHD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD3 Sacramento.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios, Sacktown Sports 1140.
Holy shit.
Your home for Kings talk and so much more.
Live and local.
Allen Stiles on Sacktown Sports.
1 o'clock hour, taking you up to 2 p.m. as we have some Jonathan Kuminga news. And boy, do we ever. So there are two stories here, okay? The first story is from Mark Stein, who we've already talked about what he had to say about the Kings and some of the other moves that they're making. Now we have with Dennis Schroder and Ty Jerome probably headed to Memphis. So Mark Stein has more than two teams. Then there's an Anthony Slater article that only has two teams. Okay, so here is the update from Mark Stein, and then we will get to the update from Anthony Slater. Jonathan Kuminga's restricted free agency is expected to be a slow-moving process in Golden State. It did not appear as of lunchtime Monday that the Warriors or Kuminga's representation had a specific resolution in mind for the 22-year-old forward's immediate future. While a return to the Warriors remains in play for Kuminga, sources say Miami, Chicago, Sacramento, and New Orleans are among the teams looming as potential suitors by way of possible sign and trade scenarios. Golden State would be willing to help facilitate a move for Kuminga to join a new team, but only if such transaction were to outweigh the benefits of keeping Kuminga on the roster. So that is what Mark Stein had to say. He had 4 teams. This is what Anthony Slater is saying. Despite a few conversations between the two sides, the Golden State Warriors have generated no real traction toward a deal with restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga in recent days, and as he anticipated, he is expected to explore the market when it opens at 3 p.m. Pacific on Monday afternoon, league sources told The Athletic. The Miami Heat and Chicago Bulls remain the two likeliest outside suitors, league sources said. I think the obvious note there is Vucevic. If the Bulls, the Bulls obviously are trying to go younger. They got Giddey. They got my guy Matas Buzelis. They just got Isaac Okoro, who, like I said, people want to bag on Isaac Okoro. I believe when we looked it up, he's only 24 years old, something like that. So you add Jonathan Kuminga to that mix. That's a team. We were wondering which teams could give Kuminga runway. That's a team that, hey, why not? We don't know what the hell we're doing anyway. Kobe White's on the way out. So I understand the Chicago Bulls and what the Warriors would get back. I mean, maybe you even
Big Vucevic. I always struggle with his.
You could also argue a Kobe White to the Warriors in a sign and trade scenario. So the Bulls and the Heat makes sense that they're the two likeliest outcomes just based on what they have. I will say, though, I don't know what in the world New Orleans is doing, but there's definitely enough pieces in New Orleans that the Warriors would be interested in. You know, I don't think they would go Kuminga for Trey Murphy. You never know with the Pelicans, but that would be pretty insane. But the Herb Jones of the world, when he gets healthy, I don't think you could even make the move for Jordan Poole, or that they would do that, but that is pretty funny.
That would be ironic in and of itself.
Or Poole is the one saying, hey, get my boy down here. You know, we rocked and rolled before. But, yeah, the Pelicans have weird – like a talent pool. I feel like teams that know what they're doing look at teams like the Pelicans, the Bulls, the Kings as, okay, there's some talent on this at this buffet line. What do we want to grab? So the Warriors are looking.
As we use the word buffet and associate it with the Pelicans and Zion.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
And speaking of Zion, where does he fall within their entire picture? What is that? If they get a Kuminga and they want him to be the man, where does Zion fall now?
Yeah. It's interesting. I don't really understand. And you talk about spacing, right? I know Trey Murphy can shoot it. So, and I don't know what you're losing. You're not losing Trey Murphy. All we know, and then they get the two rookies now, right, who are significantly younger than Zion.
Yeah.
So you got Zion, Trey Murphy, Kuminga, Jordan Poole, and whoever else they want to throw out there.
And what do they do with Grand Theft Alvarado coming off the bench? Do they even re-sign him?
Yeah, he's still coming off somebody's bench. He's still coming off of somebody's bench, man. So that's tough, man. That's tough. So the Pelicans get brought up for some odd reason because they don't know what they're doing.
They're a bunch of misfits.
Miami, Chicago. So if you do a V lookup on the Excel doc, the two teams, as you cross-reference both articles, Miami and Chicago, right? New Orleans, I'm not buying that for 1 second. Outside of Miami not knowing, or New Orleans not knowing what they're doing, I don't buy that. Sacramento, if it's for Malik Monk, that must be the move. That must be just one of the moves, because I don't know how you run out. There's literally no way. If Sacramento's we talked about this. If Sacramento is grabbing Dennis Schroder, and those are the reports. And by the way, you know, people are just upset that people are going at me in the Sac chat because the Kings want Dennis Schroder. Hey, I'm not the GM. You know, we can argue Ty Jerome versus Dennis Schroder. Like I said, I would have liked Ty Jerome at 10 mil. I would have liked Dennis Schroder if they were both at 15 mil. It's that simple. It is what it is. But as far as the team construction, if the Kings, who multiple people are reporting, are going after Dennis Schroder once 3 o'clock hits, that's Dennis Schroder. I'm assuming you have to start a point guard. Dennis Schroder, if the move is for somebody off the bench and Jonathan Kuminga, how are you getting him into the starting lineup? So Dennis Schroder, Jonathan Kuminga, Zach LaVine, Keegan Murray, and Domantas Sabonis. So where is DeMar DeRozan there?
Exactly.
That is what doesn't make sense to me about the Sacramento Kings. If it was DeRozan, different conversation. But for Malik Monk, I don't know how that works. And unless DeMar DeRozan is coming off of somebody's bench, and I don't think DeMar DeRozan wants to come off somebody's bench.
Not in my humble opinion, not that I could see for the foreseeable future. And why should he? He's still a 22 to 24 point game scorer at the age of 36. He's still getting buckets. Why should he come off the bench? He is still established.
Again, Jonathan Kuminga, I'm not coming off the bench for Jonathan Kuminga. I'll come off of somebody's bench if I'm DeMar DeRozan. I'll come off of somebody's bench, but I'm not coming off of the Kings bench. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he will. But those are some of the reports right now. Also, if you're just now joining us in the 209 says Keegan would come off the bench. Will you stop it? Stop it. The other note was it seems like the Kings are headed in the direction of Dennis Schroder, which led to a conversation between Dennis Schroder and Ty Jerome, because there was a report that the Grizzlies are looking to add Ty Jerome for $10 million. Now, let's not forget, you have control, right? If you're Ty Jerome, I don't know why. Maybe he likes Ja Morant and he thinks that the Grizzlies are in a better spot than the Kings, but maybe somebody brought up the Sacramento tax. Maybe there's more of a Sacramento tax, and Ty Jerome said, I'm not going to Sacramento for $10 million, but I'll go to the Grizzlies for $10 million. I don't know. But I know that if he was willing to go to Sacramento for $10 million, then that's not a conversation. I didn't want the Kings to pay Ty Jerome essentially what they're paying Dennis Schroder when we've only seen one year of it. So that's kind of where everything stands. Ramsey, I know we had some sound as well, and we talked about Chris Paul earlier, but yeah, there was some not LeBron sound, but Brian Windhorst was kind of discussing the LeBron conversation as he opts into what in the world, $50+ million, and how now that he's opted into it, very bizarre kind of notes coming out of the LeBron James camp as far as still wanting to contend, and are the Lakers in a good spot? You opted into this money, and I'm just not sure that anybody wants to pay or cook their young core for 1-2 years of LeBron James. All right, Rams, we got that sound. Okay,
if he wanted to be traded, is there even a market for him at this point?
To be sensitive to LeBron, who's considered one of the greatest of all time, there isn't. And here's why, Dan. He's making $53 million. He's in his last year of his contract. He's 40 years old. And I talked to numerous teams yesterday and asked that same question. Would you give up basically the farm? And basically you'd have to give up 4 or 5 players to go get LeBron James for 1 year. And the unanimous answer was no, they wouldn't. Now, the stakes change a lot if LeBron James ever became a free agent and did some type of buyout in Los Angeles. There you would have 29 teams lined up for him. But from a trade perspective, and here's a hypothetical, his former team, the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are in this second apron and have spent a lot of money, they would basically have to trade about 6 players, Dan, just to go out and get him for 1 year. And as one team told me, that's not smart business.
That was ESPN on the LeBron James situation. And I believe that was, Bobby Marks and Brian Windhorst going back to back or back and forth on Get Up. So let's do it. There's only so much time to do it. We are running out of time to do it as LeBron James opts in to his very, very expensive team option. And now, hasn't requested a trade or anything like that, but they're just saying weird stuff coming out of Rich Paul and Clutch and the LeBron James camp. The king to the Kings. Like, there's no way anybody is moving. There's no way anybody is making that move for LeBron. And I saw somebody say, money-wise, the Warriors we're going to run this back again. Warriors could do it. Jimmy Butler, blah, 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 blah. Jimmy Butler on a 2-year deal. But why would the Lakers don't want Jimmy Butler?
No.
So the money could work. You can look at other guys making $50 million. The money could work. But even in those situations, then the Lakers, LeBron is probably the best version of those players that would be available. Because, Jaylen Brown, he's in that category. Jaylen Brown, I can't do it. And y'all know I'm not even a huge Jaylen Brown guy, but I can't do that either.
And if they were to do something like that, that basically means you've already handed and said, here, Luka, this is your card. Take the keys.
Right. Exactly. And maybe you're okay with that, but the issue is LeBron just makes too much money. So I don't even know that he wants out. I just think he wants to be able, you know what it is? And this is what it comes down to with LeBron a lot of times. What it really comes down to is I want to be able to have, and I don't mind, I like LeBron. He's really grown on me, but it's basically just an excuse, right? LeBron and his camp they're the only ones that could have Luka Doncic on their team and find a way to say it's not enough. And sit there and say, well, Kobe never took a pay cut, but that's why I'm not, why do I need to take a pay cut? Whatever it is, he's about his money. Look, man, I'm not mad at you. If I had that type of money in front of me, I know LeBron's a billionaire. Hey, why not more? Right? I want the James family to eat forever. That's what he's thinking. So that's fine. But now, we want so-and-so. We want the Lakers to be able to build a contender. Well, no, you don't. No, you don't. Not at that type of money. So here are just some of the names in the LeBron James kind of realm here, right? Just in the 50s, because I don't even care about the one-offs, two-offs, just in the 50s. The Devin Booker, you got Steph Curry, you got Cade, which is starting soon. You got Paul George, Jamal Murray, right? None of these guys.
He even got Zach LaVine on his last year of his contract.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be at like 49.
Jimmy, Dame Lillard, Giannis, Jaylen Brown. None of these guys are being moved for you, LeBron.
No.
You knew what you were doing. And that's what gets people annoyed with him, because it's just the trying to control all the narratives.
That's why people call him. That's why people like to call. He's not called the Cap for no reason. He be capping all the time.
It's fine. Just take the money. But we don't need to do this song and dance. We don't need to do it.
LeBron stay capping, just like he said. He's read a lot of books, but he's only read we've only seen him look at the first page.
It just is ridiculous. What else is coming out here? And obviously 3 p.m. is when this thing is going to get really hot. So you don't want to move anywhere, as the Drive Guys will be live as free agency kicks off. This is from Frank Isola. Jason Kidd was the number one target, and until the Knicks name a coach, you can't entirely rule him out. But Mike Brown is emerging as the front runner. That is from Frank Isola. Mike Brown has coached 758 games and has a 59% winning percentage. He also guided the Cavs with LeBron James to the finals in 2007. I don't even know if Kyle was alive in 2007. That was so long ago.
Kyle barely was in first or second grade in 2007.
2007. I mean, Frank, just leave that out. Just say, and guided LeBron James to the NBA Finals. 2007 is crazy. 2007
07, just to date it, literally Cooper Flagg was in diapers, because Cooper Flagg is December 21st of 2006.
Frank, what are we doing, Frank? Why you got to do my guy Mike like that? Mike Brown, according to Frank Isola, the front runner for the Knicks job. I mean, good for him.
Congratulations to him.
Good for him if he actually gets the job. I know Kings fans, I don't know if hate watching would be a term, but I know there's some Kings fans out there that want to prove themselves. It's not even Mike Brown hate, really, or maybe it is, but want to prove their thoughts right. Because a lot of people, we took a lot of calls when Mike Brown they moved on from Mike Brown. Allen, this was the right decision. Mike Brown wasn't it. And because you had that take, you don't want him to go to the Knicks and succeed, I wouldn't think. Because then, and I always have said you could have moved on from Mike Brown at the end of the season. I just think that you pulled the plug a little too early. So I won't even spin the block on you. I won't even do that. My whole thought process was you didn't need to do it right now. They felt like they did. But if Mike goes out there, and you know what it'll turn into, let's say Mike goes out there. Number one, it's the Eastern Conference. Number two, you got Brunson, you got Cat, you got a better team. So they still won't give Mike his flowers. But I'd like to see him. I told this story not too long ago. My mom, my wife, and baby Stiles, they were at a museum out here in Sacramento. I can't remember which one. And they saw Mike Brown with his grandson. And my mom, she don't care, right? She didn't even know him by face. And then when my wife told her, she said, I'm just going to go over and chat with them. Now, the kiddo and baby Stiles, they were kind of playing together anyway. So my mom kind of just small talked with him a little bit, but he really did love the community. So I got love for Mike Brown. I want to see him succeed, even if it's not in the purple and there's no beam. Like I said, you could have moved on from him. I just thought it was a little bit too early. And from the Knicks' perspective, he definitely knows he wasn't the first choice. But the other part is, well, they didn't have a first choice because they fired Thibodeau with no plan.
Yeah, Mike Brown to me is. I'm gonna use a De'Aaron Fox example again. I tip my hat. Go enjoy. If you get hired there, enjoy your time. Enjoy your time in New York City. Just like De'Aaron Fox, you wanted to go to San Antonio. Enjoy your time by the Alamo, sir.
That's all you got to do.
That's all you got to do. The Kings have moved on. You can move on as well, sir.
I have this as well, and this is from some of this is being reported in different places, and I know this whole thing has become a little comical with the person, and obviously the listeners can't see the text line, but the whole Grant Afseth debacle. And I know if I say his name 3 times, that texter is going to appear.
Don't do it
like Beetlejuice. But
don't do it.
This was an hour ago ahead of free agency. This is from Grant Afseth. Ahead of free agency, league sources tell me these are some outcomes with building momentum. Nickeil Alexander-Walker to the Atlanta Hawks are just building we were joking about an all-wing team. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Dyson Daniels, who is a point guard, but the brother is what, 6'8"? Dyson Daniels is a big boy. Okay, Jalen Johnson, and then they just got Trae Young. So that's building momentum.
And they're moving on from, and they're probably going to move on from Malik Monk's favorite player, Garrison Matthews.
Yeah, right. And they already moved on from DeAndre. That was another wing. They just said we don't need you.
And I don't think they're going to renew, or they're trying to move Terrence Mann as well.
They should be. That's a name that I do like.
So do I. I mean, I liked what he did I liked Terrence Mann on the Clippers.
I think that I would say he's more of a Warriors type of guy than a Kings guy to me, but I would take him in Sacramento.
In a heartbeat.
Karis LeVert to Detroit. Ty Jerome to Memphis.
You want to talk about a name that's bounced? People talking about Schroder bouncing all over the place. Karis LeVert has been on a bunch of teams as well.
Yeah. D'Angelo Russell to the Mavericks. He's going to be that Kyrie kind of fill-in guy.
Good. As long as he's not in Sacramento, that's all I care about.
And here's a fun one. They thought it was going to be Brook Lopez, but how about this name? This dude just refuses to retire.
Al Horford?
Al Horford to the Golden State Warriors. These are moves.
Are you not? I'm not surprised in the slightest. That's what the Warriors do. They love to grab the vets on the last leg and see if they can do something, put something together with it. Al Horford to the Warriors, not surprising at all.
Grant Afseth, that's what he's reporting. He says he'll have an article out soon. So we will peruse that once it drops and get you that information. 530 says, question for radio. Can Mike Brown be paid 2 contracts at the same time, King's contract and another team's contract?
Not to the best of my knowledge. Once he gets a new contract from a new team, I think the Kings have to potentially solidify and just give him all the money that he was supposed to have. To the best of my knowledge, I could be mistaken, but I don't believe you can get 2 contracts, in my opinion.
Well, I think the larger question is, are the Kings getting out of moving off of him as they start a contract? And no, not really. It's just, what is it? Those commercials from daytime, a lump sum is my money and I need it now. That's pretty much what it turns
Call
into.
JG Wentworth.
Yeah, that's 877.
Cash now.
That's Mike going to be on the phone with Vivek. Hey, I'm out to New York, number 1. And number 2, I need my 877 cash now. That's what we on right now.
Run me my money.
You ever see that? What would you do, Ramsey? I've seen this before. If you win the lottery, they can give you a lump sum, or you can ask for a certain payout as if it were a paycheck. You do the paycheck, right? You can't do a lump sum.
Yeah, I'm not taking a lump sum. I need a steady flow of income. I don't need it all at once.
So Mike Brown, a great question from the 530. Mike Brown is going to get that JG Wentworth 877 cash now if he signs with the New York Knicks. Frank Isola is reporting that it does seem to be moving in that direction. When we return, more conversations as we are getting closer and closer to free agency. Devin Carter. How many of you think that Devin Carter, I don't want to say could replace Keon, but could be more of the real deal than we've talked about in the past? Also, DeAndre Ayton, any interest there? Why is nobody talking about CP3? Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sacktown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sacktown Sports app.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was going to unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Finally, an easy way to find home improvement contractors. Just visit subcontractorsunited.com and simplify your search for home services professionals. From cabinets to windows, roofing to plumbing, Subcontractors United is an easy, simple way to find and hire a home improvement contractor. And you never have to give up personal information. So no harassing phone calls like you get from those other websites. Subcontractorsunited.com is sponsored by D&D Cabinets and Savage Design.
The 4th of July, it's all about family, fireworks, and freedom. And this 4th of July, Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is offering your family the freedom to choose America's brand at the guaranteed lowest price in town. This 4th of July, the fireworks are starting early at Sacramento Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. You can check out one of Northern California's largest selections for yourself at sacssuperstore.com, where you'll find the lowest prices on the new Ram, Wrangler, Grand Cherokee, the whole lineup. Centrally located across from Hagen Oaks Golf Course, and visit them online to see their full selection and their guaranteed lowest prices at sacssuperstore.com.
Hagen Oaks wants to be your go-to total golf game fitter. Try the TrackMan experience, the very best technology to fit your metal woods and irons. The new cutting-edge putter fitting studio with its $30,000 worth of technology is ready for your fitting. Hagen Oaks will help you find the best putter for your game. Hagen Oaks offers more technology, more choices, and more service. Schedule your fitting at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio by calling 916-808-2531, 808-2531 for more.
Get ready for a night out with Jordan Davis. It's Country in the Park 2, Saturday, September 13th at Cal Expo. Along with the special guests Mitchell Tenpenny, Locash, Vincent Mason, and Abriana. Make it a family day out with food trucks, games, dancing, and more. Saturday, September 13th at Cal Expo with Hoblit Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram Center. Tickets and info at CITPFest.com.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave. I got to tell you, I am so excited to get this decking project started with Trex Decking and Railings. From the first time I stepped foot in the showroom last week, I was so impressed. So many color options, heat-resistant composite deck. What does that mean? That means I don't have to do any maintenance on it whatsoever. They even have a deck designer, so you can go online and see what your dream deck will look like on your house. Just visit Trex, that's TREX.com to get it started. Tell them Carmichael Dave sent you.
Only one radio program captures the excitement of hunting and fishing as it happens. The award-winning California Sportsman with Sep Hendrickson. Only California Sportsman takes you where the action is. Live on the water, live in the blind, and live with the top pros and experts in outdoor sports. California Sportsman with Fishing Hall of Famer Sep Hendrickson is your premier destination for all things outdoors. Sep's Saturday Morning Outdoors. Ultimate Bass and California Sportsman, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. Saturdays on Sacktown Sports 1140.
Hello, everyone. It's Kyle Draper for Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. Let me tell you, the push is on to get you into the car of your dreams. Right now, Mercedes-Benz of Stockton is running their huge June sale with low rates on new and pre-owned vehicles. I've taken advantage of their offers, and I'm proud to say I'm a Mercedes-Benz of Stockton customer. Me and the kids, in fact, are already planning our summer road trips in my all-electric EQS SUV. So don't wait. These low rates won't last long. Go to Mercedes-Benz of Stockton, just a short drive right off I-5 or anytime at mbfstockton.com.
Allen Stiles. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
Just want to take a quick moment to shout out a place that I just found this out. I don't know if he wants me putting his business out there in the streets, but somebody I'm very close to here at the station. You could probably read through the lines as to who it is, but sent me a note over the weekend about Public House downtown closing in Sacramento. I had no clue. So he sent me this note over the weekend. So you know what I did? We were at Horn Barbecue, so I paid. That was number one to help get the green light from wifey. So I paid. And then after that, I said, hey, Public House is closing. Maybe I could stop by. It was such a big part of, the start of my time here in Sacramento, and I got the green light. So I'm going to be stopping by there after work. And kind of the long and the short of it is, when I first moved out to Sacramento to take this job a couple years back, we moved so quickly once I got the job, that my family was still in the Bay. So I was living in a hotel and then eventually got into a little apartment. And I used to, hang out at Public House downtown. So a great spot, a lot of people. I met a lot of people, whether they were from Sacramento or just were in the area from the different conferences and things that happened. So Public House closing. I'm going to be headed out there after the show to kind of celebrate with them. 13 unforgettable years. We did the NBA draft party there in 2024 when the Kings took Devin Carter, and we posted my video of my reaction. There's still an unedited version that Nate Littlefield probably has running around here, but we did my reaction to that. So shout out to
God blessing me with his body.
Yes, Devin, we sure hope that happens. So yeah, shout out to Public House, and I'm going to be out there for a little bit. This isn't anything, has nothing to do with the station, just, paying my final respects to Public House downtown with a very close friend of mine at the show. Like I said, you can guess who it is. If you find yourself down there, come say what's up. 30 more minutes with you. Yossi Goslin joined the show to kick off the show pretty much. He was able to hop on pretty early, and he said, Alan, the earlier the better, but I can do it for you. So shout out to Yossi from the Third Apron. And the biggest notes that he had to share was that if the Kings mess around with Keegan Murray, things could get dicey. So Jabari Smith Jr. going for $24 million. He didn't necessarily say that Keegan should get more than Jabari Smith Jr. Basically identical stats. Jabari Smith Jr. is 3 years younger, but he did say Keegan should be in that vicinity, to quote the word. So I completely agree with him. Brendan Nunez was all over this as soon as the news came out yesterday. And as we, put the Keon situation on ice, or on the back burner, if you will, and turn our attention to the Keegan Murray situation, I would say that, maybe you just say, hey, Keegan, you're a little bit older. You played a little bit more minutes. So here's 25 a year and keep it pushing. I think Keegan, that is pretty respectful to me. right? You look at some of the other ones, you're not getting the max. And that's what Yossi also said. He was a little bit surprised that the max guys who normally go first to kind of set the market and understand, okay, this is a max player. He was a little bit surprised that the Jabari Smith Jr. stuff came out as quickly as it did. But yeah, I don't see Keegan getting a max. I don't think that his camp will argue for a max. I think we're looking right at 24. Maybe you say, version of the Sacramento tax. Jabari's at 24 point something. Here, Keegan, here's 25 a year. We want you to be that dude. And Jabari Smith Jr., similar minutes, but the brother been coming off the bench, right? So that's probably Keegan's argument. And then the argument going back would say, well, Keegan, he's got the same numbers as you, and you start.
Yeah, and Jabari Smith's not even the first option at the moment in Houston.
That's a great point. Well, neither is Keegan, though. Don't get we need a word for all the Keegan Murray fans because they say, DeMar DeRozan taking shots away from Keegan. He's not the first option. And I do agree with them to a certain extent, though. I do. But as far as getting paid, that's why it all evens out. Well, Keegan, you could make the argument, his per 60 or per 90, whatever it is, if he was playing as many minutes as you, and they're close, don't get me wrong, he'd have better sets. So he's at 24. He's 3 years younger. Here's 25, Sacramento tax. You just got married, or you're about to get married, start a beautiful family. All the nice parks out here in Sacramento. I love joking about the parks, but I really do go to all the parks in Sacramento. Bing, bam, boom. It's no problem, Ramsey. That's it. No issue. No restricted free agency. No Kuminga drama.
Yeah, exactly. And Keegan's not the type of, he doesn't want the, Keegan's not the type of dude. He doesn't want the drama.
He's not sitting down with Anthony Slater.
No.
I need the rock.
No.
I need it.
He's the type of dude, if you offer him something reasonable, he'll sign on the dotted line, stay here in Sacramento, move on with life. And if he still had the opportunity, he would still be Uncle Keegs.
Yeah. He definitely would. So that's what Yossi had to say. He brought up the Keon thing, and I know Whitey and Drape's going to get into it in the afternoon show during the Drive Guys, but they'll also be working with some free agent moves coming, which Dennis Schroder reported that it's probably going to happen. But the reality is Keon may be, I saw some people wilding out. I saw fights happening between media members where one person said, one person obviously is saying, all of the goodwill that Scott Perry has built up is now gone because they didn't decline Keon's option and extend him. It's all gone now. It's all gone. We're all on cloud nine, not even a week ago. We're all on cloud nine, but now it's all gone because of Keon. Look, I know Keon was our one bright spot these last couple years, but Scott Perry is hoping to have more than just one bright spot.
Thank you.
Actual moments. And that doesn't have to be at the expense of Keon. We'll see. You don't got to overreact. There'll be plenty of time to actually react. 916 is saying Keegan is a much better, and yeah, is this Kyle's burner? Keegan Murray is a much better defensive player than Jabari Smith Jr. Yeah, that's kind of the take, right? Keegan Murray a bit better defensively, Jabari Smith a little bit better offensively. So I think both of them can grow in both areas. Again, to your point, though, 916, Keegan Murray 3 years older than Jabari Smith Jr. So
in that Houston team, he doesn't have to do everything defensively because they are defensively minded, and he's not the only person that is in a similar archetype body frame as him. They still got Tari Eason as well.
By the way, I know it's the off season, and I always joke that gym in New York, the Summit, nobody's ever missed a shot at that gym.
That Lifetime gym in New York?
The Ben Simmons looks incredible every single year. I saw KD was there. This wasn't in that gym, but I saw some tape on Amen Thompson, and it looked like, those games where he was purposely, I'm going to shoot from three because I'm just working on something because that's just how it is.
That's what they do. That's what a lot of these dudes do in these pickup games.
We're in trouble. I get it. It's not the NBA, but if this man, Ramsey, we're in trouble with Amen Thompson. on the Rockets. It's a problem.
He's already a problem, and he'll be more of a problem once he finds the true offensive role. Plus, I think they're hoping for him to expand his offensive role, especially now with Dylan Brooks being gone.
Yeah, and with KD, he's going to get to work with KD. Oh, my gosh. And I'm sitting here arguing with the Sack Chat about Ty Jerome or Dennis Schroder. What is this? What is this? What is this? 916-339-1140. 916 says, as it's been reported, Grant Afset says Al Horford to the Warriors gaining momentum. His brother just refuses to retire. 916 says Al Horford would be a perfect backup for Sabonis. He's been solid his entire career. He was a big piece this season for his team. I don't know. I'd have to double check on the numbers of for Al Horford, whether you're being facetious or not, but I'm out. I'm out on Al Horford. I'm sorry.
They've got Valanciunas for that reason at the moment. Why would you go pick up Al Horford?
Now, yeah. I mean, they ran 3 centers before, but that was more so because they were trying to get the production of a backup center between the other two. I'm seeing here you go, Ramsey. 60 games Al Horford played, 9 points per game. That's actually way higher than I thought it was. 9 points per game, 6.2 rebounds, 2.1 assists, 42% from the field, 36% from 3, 89% from the free throw. Let's see how many minutes he was playing. Geez, you get to Al Horford and you're just scrolling. The brother is 38 years old. He played 27 minutes a game this season.
Yeah, because a lot of the times he was starting when Porzingis was out.
I'm sorry, Al Horford. I got to put some respect. I still don't want you on the Kings, but I got to put some respect on your name. We always put some respect on Whitey Gleason's name, who joins us to close out the show. Allen Stiles, Sacktown Sports.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me. They calm me down. They make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore. And I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hi, I'm Allen Stiles. Injured at work? Call Downtown. Downtown LA Law Group, California's leading injury law firm. With over 40 lawyers throughout California, they've won over $500 million in settlements. Downtown LA Law Group will get you compensation for your work injury. You don't pay unless they win. That's right. You pay zero up front. Call Downtown. Text Injury Help to 40222. That's Injury Help to 40222. Visit them at calldowntown.com.
Hello, Sacramento. I'm Emran Pilati, owner of True Sports Cards and Collectible Store here in Rockland, California, and the host of the True Sports Cards Show that airs right here on Sacktown Sports 1140 every Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m., where we discuss the latest trends, hottest products, and deliver exclusive interviews with other industry leaders. And don't forget to visit our shop, True Sports Cards, at 6661 Stanford Ranch Road in Rockland and see what we have for all your sports card and memorabilia needs.
Carmichael Dave here for my friends at American Energy Heating and Air. Yes, I always tell you they are a family-owned operation, been in business since 81, A+ Better Business Bureau, but it is hot. We are in those Sacramento hot months. I want to focus on them being your second opinion partner. What does that mean? Maybe you've got somebody you're working with or you've worked with in the past in the HVAC world. Guess what? They want to give you a second opinion. How much does it cost? Nothing. You call them up and say, hey, can I get a second opinion on this deal? They come out and they either say, wow, that's a great deal. You should feel better about that. Or they say, we can beat that price. And usually they're going to beat it by a lot. Guess what? You just saved money and it didn't cost you anything to find out. It's a no-lose situation. Go with a trusted company. American Energy, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com. Jingle Singers, take it away.
Call 916-520 $99.98 now.
Get a great deal on your new Silverado at the Maida Chevy Silverado Superstore. Great selection, great factory financing and incentive, and great Maida Chevy savings on every new Silverado in stock. Online at MaidaChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
Allen Stiles
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140.
on Sacktown Sports.
Whitey Gleason joins us. Whitey!
Yes, sir.
First of all, how was your weekend?
I was great. I just want to real quick say shout out to Ramsey for wearing a Pirates hat in honor of the fallen great Dave Parker.
Mm-hmm.
Bless you,
Ramsey,
guys.
yeah, if you didn't catch the beginning of the show, you can rewind. You can go check out the first hour on sacktownsports.com or on the TuneIn app. Ramsey had a great ode in the morning. So go check that out. Ramsey did great stuff with that. Got the music going as well. It was great stuff. So, Whitey.
Yeah, but I had a good weekend. Thanks for asking. How about you?
Good.
Good.
I was a little nervous when the family came for River Cats.
Oh, yeah.
I
Were
was
you
kind of
distracted?
yeah.
Throw you off your game a little bit?
So here's the thing. Family was there. Daddy, you know what I mean? It's great, but family is there. Dusty was there. It was Dusty bobblehead night. So Dusty, very nice.
Yeah.
Right? Very nice.
He's the best.
So did you have Dusty on or was that the morning show?
I have had him on, but not in a while.
Okay, I think it was the morning show. And what happened was, you know, when I'm doing my hosting thing, I walk out whoever's throwing the first pitch. So Dusty was throwing the first pitch because it was, you know, bobblehead night. So I almost forgot to say this on the show, but I'm glad I'm saying it with you. So long story short, obviously everybody, Dusty, you're the best, you're the greatest. So I'm telling the other members of, you know, the cat crew, oh, I'm getting a picture with Dusty. And they say, oh, well, yeah, you're the host. You should be able to pull that off. Great. So the River Cats photographer stops by and Dusty is in the middle of kind of doing something, but I'm standing next to Dusty. So the photographer comes up, doesn't say anything, and just starts taking pictures of us. Dusty was focused on something else. So I kind of put my arm around Dusty and I'm pointing to the camera, hey, Dusty, and he didn't hear. So I got a picture. I got pictures with Dusty, but he's not looking at the and then somebody, Vanessa Romo from Fox 40, she was taking videos for Fox 40. So she gave me the videos of me walking him out, but I haven't seen the pictures, but he's not looking. I told him the whole story about seeing him ride on the motorcycle after JT Snow hit a home run, my first Giants game. And he said, I did have that motorcycle. So great stuff with Dusty, but I got to find that because I need you to see the picture. But yeah, it is.
So it almost looks like you were photoshopped in there.
It looks like Dusty doesn't know I'm there. And it's just somebody it looks like I walked up and told somebody, hey, take a picture with us.
Yeah.
And Dusty didn't know because he didn't know. But I didn't tell the guy to take a picture. He just walked up. And I'm like, hey, Dusty, hey, Dusty. And Dusty did not hear me. But great stuff. A bobblehead night. I'm glad the Oklahoma City Comets are out of there. The Dodgers, man, they're just annoying. But did win yesterday to get a W before we get going with all this 4th of July stuff. Oh, that's where I'll go with this one because I know you guys are going to spend so much time on NBA free agency, and I'm fighting with people on the Sack Chat about Ty Jerome versus Dennis Schroder.
Ty Jerome's gone.
Well, yeah, but I didn't know he was only going to get 10 mil. So I wonder, was Sacramento not interested? Was he not interested in Sacramento? Was it I'm not going to Sacramento for 10 mil, but I'll go to Memphis for 10
You know what I think on that? And I like Ty Jerome a lot. I think they're really emphasizing defense. You know, we had Scott Perry on Friday. He talked about that, how important that was with the guys they drafted. And Ty Drumm's not a good defender, so maybe that had a lot to do with it.
Dennis Schroder is not crazy defensively.
I think he's better than my guy Ty Jerome, though, and I like Ty Jerome.
Yeah, and the other thing, as Mark Stein is reporting, that basically as soon as 3 o'clock hits, Dennis Schroder is, getting that MLE 14 a year. The other part of it too is looking at how they drafted as well. I love what Ty Jerome just did, but that's a 1 season sample size,
right?
Versus, Schroder's been doing this for years now. So
he's been on 9 teams.
Did he complete the Jersey Rainbow?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm sure he has.
And Ty Jerome's been on quite a few teams too.
Yeah, your Warriors he was on.
That's where I really saw him and thought, wow, he's pretty good.
Yeah, but
Kenny Atkinson thought the same thing, and that's why Cleveland signed him.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. But 10 mil a year, I would have done it for 10 mil a year. I wanted to have some fun because I don't know if we'll have time maybe on Wednesday, but are you prepared, Whitey? Because it's been quiet, and I've been talking to a lot of people with the A's on a road trip. They're going to be back in town for a bit. Whitey, I'm mentally preparing. Yeah, this is Sacramento. When the Giants come to town, we selling this place out. It's Sacramento. I might just.
I hadn't even thought of that.
Oh, I've been thinking about it for a month now.
Oh, man.
This is what we tried to tell people. It's Sacramento, baby. Yeah, it's the Giants. A's Giants.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I cannot wait.
What'd you think of your friend Severino's comments over the weekend?
I'm wondering if this was all part of the plan. I'm going to take more money than what's being offered to me. I think he legitimately has concerns because there are reports that he's just being the most vocal.
Yeah.
He kind of feels like he has the most to lose and he probably wants to leave.
Yeah.
Other players might not be in that situation. He's got more leverage.
It's literally what he signed up for. And I know that it's not easy.
But that's what I think it's true, but I think it's true, but I also believe that
he was planning on forcing his way out all along.
I think that it was in the back of his mind. Let me take this money, and if I need to do what I need to do, I think me.
He should have pitched better then.
Yeah,
that would have helped.
Well, I read the Cubs are at least one team. The Cubs are interested.
I could see. Yeah, there's going to be interest.
So let me just take this money. Cool. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out later. Maybe I'll like playing in Sacramento. If not, everyone's bagging on them anyway, so I can find my way out of there. Save me. Whenever he goes to New York. Yeah, it's not like the bright lights in New York. No, it's not, brother.
You probably knew that.
Yeah, you knew that.
Yeah.
But it's going to be electric this week. It's going to be electric this weekend, Whitey. Are you going to any of them?
No.
Why not?
I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Giants fan, and I'm not a big fan of the way everything's come together here. So
why aren't you a big Giants fan? Did I know that? Well, you're a Padres guy.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. Giants struggling a little bit right now, huh?
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's dropped down to the River Kitties. Nobody can hit. Okay, just get my guy Dakota Jordan up here. Get my guy Bryce Eldridge up here.
We got to get Coach Stiles out there to work with some hitters.
Well, and
Pat Burrell take a hike. It's Allen Stiles time.
This is not the time for it. But we've only got a couple minutes left here, and Whitey Gleason, Kyle Draper, Jay Johnson, they will take you into free agency. But I'm preparing Whitey. The Austin Rivers, not just Austin Rivers, but everyone talking about how the game is different and you got to be,
I like that post you had.
Yeah, Jordan Clarkson. We've talked about it time and time again. From a hitter standpoint now, I do feel, let me just get nerdy for 2 seconds here. I feel like we are seeing a regression back to reality with hitters, right? The Ozzie Albies of the world. I mean, brother, you can't hit, and I love Ozzie Albie, but you can't be hitting 220 at 5'8" as a second baseman. Can't do it anymore. So, I want to talk to some of these kids out here, Whitey. I want to talk to some of these kids out here and say, guys, you need a plan at the plate. Your plan, you need to slap the ball. This is what I was told, Whitey. Then I graduate, everyone launch angle this, launch angle that. You got to get back to your roots. That's what I keep telling these kids, man.
Luis Ariz is a contact guy.
There we go.
A lot of batting titles. Nobody wants him.
And nobody cares.
Yeah, other teams just like,
Okay,
pass.
but there's a happy medium. You have to have you can 3-1 count. Let's get into something. It's just, let's find a happy medium here. Where are my Juan Pierre's at? We're talking about the A's, and Ramsey was talking about the greats.
Juan Pierre.
Ricky Henderson. He could do both.
Uh-huh.
One of the best hitters ever, but
he drew walks and he hit home runs. So by today's metrics, he's a god.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. The rest of it, I don't know that it mattered as much.
As far as the Giants are concerned, I'm really worried. Okay, you know where this takes me? And again, getting a little bit nerdy here. Jung-Hoo Lee hit the ball the other way. That's the type of stuff. You are what, 5'10", 5'11"? You are fast. I've never seen Jung-Hoo Lee bunt in my life. Not a once. NBA free agency, NFL trades happening.
That's right.
And
it's all happening.
And we're sitting here talking about Jung-Hoo Lee not bunting. No, that's Whitey came in and said, Allen, why doesn't Jung-Hoo Lee bunt? I got the text. I'll show you. But Whitey Gleason, any guests today?
Not that I know of. I think we're going to be plenty busy as it is.
There you go. Well, free agency, we are a little more than an hour away. Thanks to all the callers, texters, Sack chatters. We have so much to get to tomorrow. But Whitey Gleason, Kyle Draper, Jay Johnson are going to take you there. Thank you to Yossi Gozlin of the Third Apron. Thank you to Ramsey. Great job as always. Until tomorrow, secure the bag like the beat.
Don't forget my podcast. Gotta go.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on